Chapter 23:31. Zhao Wenshui was so scared that he trembled. He had been punched by Li Erlang before. Li Erlang was so ruthless that he almost turned him into a pig's head. Zhao Wenshui was a little scared when he saw Li Erlang's fist. Li Daolong also drove Zhao Wenshui away. Get out of here. Get out of here before we do anything to you. Otherwise, don't blame us if you look for trouble. Zhao Wenshui couldn't help but sigh in his heart. He sincerely came to apologize, but he hadn't seen Li Chueying yet. He hadn't been forgiven by Li Chueying. He couldn't get along with Li Daolong and Li Erlang. These two men were bad-tempered, and he couldn't confront them directly. Otherwise, he would be the one to suffer. Zhao Wenshui's heart was bitter. He looked at Li Daolong and Li Erlang pleadingly. Big brother, second brother, since I was your brother-in-law before, please let me see Tianyu's mother. I did a lot of stupid things in the past, but now I've thought it all out. No matter how you punish me, I'm willing to accept it. Because of my stupidity, I brought great harm to Tianyu's mother. Now I just want to make it up to her. Big brother, second brother, I beg you, let me see Tianyu's mother and apologize in person. If Tianyu's mother is still unwilling to forgive me, I won't continue to pester her. After Zhao Wenshui finished speaking, he almost knelt down in front of Li Daolong and Li Erlang. Zhao Wenshui's sincere attitude was completely different from before. Li Daolong and Li Erlang couldn't help but think deeply. Zhao Wenshui was hopeless in the past. Looking at Zhao Wenshui now, it seemed that he could still be saved. However, they couldn't risk the rest of their sister's life because of Zhao Wenshui's words. Now that Zhao Wenshui and Li Chueying were divorced, it meant that the two of them had nothing to do with each other. Even if Zhao Wenshui went to Li Chueying to apologize, what was the point? It wouldn't have any effect at all. You better go back. My sister will never forgive you. Stop wasting your time. He had already recovered. You came here on purpose. Aren't you trying to make things difficult for him? After some thought, Li Daolong and Li Erlang decided not to let Zhao Wenshui see Li Chueying, lest Li Chueying bring up some sad memories. Big brother, second brother. Zhao Wenshui suddenly felt desperate. He had already said what he needed to say, but the Li family refused to let him see Li Chueying. What could he do? Hurry up and get lost. Why are you still standing there? Don't you understand human language? Zhao Wenshui was unwilling to give up. It wasn't easy for her to make up her mind to come and beg Li Chueying for forgiveness. How did she just go back like this? He still wanted to live a good life in the future. Thus, Zhao Wenshui called out to the Li family's house, Tianyu's mother, Tianyu's mother. Zhao Wenshui's shout didn't manage to get Li Chueying out, but it managed to get old Madame Li out. As soon as Li Chueying saw old Madame Li, he hurriedly greeted her, Mother, mother, it's me. Old Madame Li narrowed her eyes and walked towards Zhao Wenshui. She had heard Zhao Wenshui, Li Daolong, and Li Erlang's conversation in the courtyard. She couldn't help but sigh. This son-in-law, if he knew this would happen, why did he do it in the first place? Why did he have to do something wrong and hurt someone before he knew how to repent? Men, there's not a single good thing. They didn't know how to cherish their daughter-in-law and went out to find another woman. Chapter 23:32. Old Madame Li replied calmly, I may be old, but I'm not blind. Of course, I know it's you. Zhao Wenshui smiled embarrassedly and said in a flattering tone, Mother, I'm so happy to see you. Hee hee. Old Madame Li sneered twice. Now his mouth had become so sweet. She had never seen Zhao Wenshui speak like this before. Mother, big brother and second brother won't let me see Tianyu's mother. Can you do me a favor and let me see her? Zhao Wenshui could only place his hope on old Madame Li. Li Daolong and Li Erlang quickly said, Mother, don't listen to this bastard. If you let him see little sister, it will only make her unhappy. That's right, Mother. Don't give this bastard a chance to harm little sister. Old Madame Li remained silent. She glanced at Zhao Wenshui and said, You're quite thoughtful this time. You're different from before. Zhao Wenshui quickly raised his hand and swore, Mother, of course. How can I be the same as before? I really want to apologize to Tianyu's mother. Old Madame Li raised her eyebrows. You didn't come here for this, did you? Zhao Wenshui scratched his head embarrassedly after being exposed by old Madame Li. As expected, the older the wiser. Old Madame Li could see through him at a glance. Mother, in fact, other than apologizing to Tianyu's mother, the most important thing I came here for today is to discuss with Tianyu's mother whether she can go back with me and live a good life. I already know I was wrong. I did a lot of stupid things in the past. Now, for the sake of Tianyu and to have a complete family, I hope Tianyu's mother can go back with me. This time, I won't let her down. Otherwise, I'll be struck by lightning and die a horrible death. Mother, just promise me. Let me talk to Tianyu's mother. Old Madame Li frowned as she listened to Zhao Wenshui's words. She had lived for a long time and knew whether he was telling the truth or not. Zhao Wenshui sounded sincere this time. It didn't seem like he was lying. Li Dalong and Li Erlang were anxious, afraid that old Madame Li would agree. Mother, we can't trust him. Last time, he said the same thing and promised to go back. In the end, didn't he still bully our little sister? We've already been tricked once. We can't be tricked again. Old Madame Li waved at Li Dalong and Li Erlang. It was said that people should be persuaded to reconcile and not to break up. Although her daughter didn't suffer any grievances after her divorce, it was inevitable for a divorced woman to be gossiped by the villagers when she returned to her maternal home. No one wanted to be the subject of discussion. Li Chuiying couldn't continue to stay in her maiden home. She wasn't that old. She still needed to find a husband so that she would have someone to rely on for the rest of her life. However, there weren't many reliable men. He had asked a matchmaker to look for a suitable candidate, but he hadn't found one. Chapter 23:33. Zhao Wenshui nodded excitedly. Since old Madame Li said so, it meant that there was still hope. Unlike Li Dalong and Li Erlang, who refused him directly and didn't have any hope. Being a mother-in-law was the best. Zhao Wenshui waited expectantly in front of the yard for old Madame Li to talk to Li Chuiying, and then Li Chuiying would come out to see him. Although Li Chuiying didn't have much love, Zhao Wenshui knew that Li Chuiying lived with him and treated him wholeheartedly before. She was a very good woman. There was no one else around him except for Li Chuiying. No matter what, he was full of guilt towards her. If Li Chuiying was willing to go back with him, he would definitely treat her well for the rest of her life. Old Madame Li turned and went into the room. Although Li Dalong and Li Erlang were unwilling, they couldn't go against old Madame Li's wishes. At this time, Li Chuiying was sewing clothes in the room. She had returned to her parents' home for a while and didn't have much to do every day. It just so happened that her two brothers' children needed some clothes to wear, so she simply cut cloth and came back to make clothes at home. At this time, she was almost halfway done. She also heard the voices outside the room clearly. She also didn't expect that Zhao Wenshui would come to the Li family. She thought that this heartless man wouldn't think of her at all, or even if Zhao Wenshui came, it would be the same as last time. He had no choice but to come and coax her, because there was no woman at home to take care of him. But this time, Zhao Wenshui's words did sound like he had come to his senses. Li Chuiying's mood was very complicated. She had no feelings for Zhao Wenshui at all. After all, this man hurt her too deeply. What she missed the most in her heart were her two children. Zhao Jing was married for the time being. Even if she didn't live with Zhao Wenshui, it wouldn't affect Zhao Jing. Now, that Zhao Jing had married into a rich family. Although she would only be a concubine, she would not have to worry about food and drink. Her life would definitely be better than that of an ordinary family. However, Zhao Tianyu was still a child. Zhao Wenshui was a man who couldn't even cook. How could he take good care of Zhao Tianyu? Zhao Tianyu didn't know if it was too hot or too cold without her, his mother, by his side. He couldn't be at ease. Zhao Wenshui had nothing to do with her, but Zhao Tianyu was her flesh and blood. If she had a choice, how many mothers would abandon their sons? Li Chuiying sighed heavily. The more he thought about it, the more worried he became. His hands paused for a moment as he listened to the commotion outside. After a while, old Madame Li Chuiying entered the room. Li Chuiying hurriedly lowered her head and started sewing again, as if she hadn't heard what the servants were saying. Old Madam Li approached Li Chuanying and said to Li Chuanying, "My dear daughter, Zhao Wenshui is here. Do you want to go out and take a look?" Li Chuanying shook her head. "No, go and take a look. I think he's here to sincerely apologize this time. Is he different from before?" "Mother, forget it. I still don't want to go. What's the use of his apology? Do I have to go back with him and continue living with him? Seeing him will only make me feel more depressed. It's better not to see him." Li Chuanying replied to old Madam Li as she sewed the clothes in her hands. Old Madam Li sighed. "My dear daughter, if he's really willing to change this time, won't you reconsider?" Chapter 23:34. Mother. Li Chuanying felt a little sad when she heard that. Actually, she knew that it wasn't a good idea to stay in her parents' home forever. After all, her two brothers had already gotten married. Her mother and brother didn't have any objections, but her two sisters-in-law didn't want her to stay at home forever. From the moment she got married, she was no longer a member of the Li family. This time, the divorce was too sudden. She had nowhere else to go, so she could only come back to her parents' home. That was why she stayed there for a while. Previously, she had been thinking about finding a reliable man who wouldn't stay at her parents' home for too long and cause trouble for them. However, the matchmakers have been helping her find some unreliable men. Some of them weren't even as good as Zhao Wenshui. Those with good character were too poor to eat. She didn't know how she would live after marrying them. Those with good conditions had bad character. The man she met a few days ago liked to beat his wife. Her previous wife was beaten to death by him. How could she dare to marry him? Wasn't she tired of living? After looking for a few men, she still couldn't find a suitable one. She couldn't marry casually. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to live a peaceful life like she did with Zhao Wenshui. If she really had to make do casually, she might as well live with Zhao Wenshui. She wanted a divorce because she hoped that her life would be better after the divorce. The first half of her life had been so miserable. She couldn't live the second half of her life in such a sorry state. Girl, when you're old, you need children to take care of you. Otherwise, who will take care of you when you're old? Think about yourself. Mother hopes that your life will get better and better, old Madam Li said as she patted Li Chuanying's shoulder and sighed. Li Chuanying lowered her head. It would be a lie if she said that there wasn't a trace of emotion in her heart. Anyway, it's fine to go and see how Zhao Wenshui is doing. What if he really changes? After thinking for a while, Li Chuanying finally nodded. "Okay, Mother. I'll go talk to him." "Okay." Old Madam Li had a smile on her face. Li Chuanying also came out of the room. Zhao Wenshui, who was anxiously waiting outside the courtyard, was overjoyed when he heard Li Chuanying's familiar voice. "Tianyu's mother." Zhao Wenshui shouted excitedly. Li Chuanying didn't show much emotion. He walked up to Zhao Wenshui and replied faintly, "Why are you looking for me?" "Tianyu's mother, I am here to apologize to you." Facing Li Chuanying, Zhao Wenshui suddenly felt a little guilty and embarrassed. He smiled with a hint of flattery and said nervously to Li Chuanying. Zhao Wenshui was used to bossing Li Chuanying around. Li Chuanying had never seen this side of Zhao Wenshui. It seemed that Zhao Wenshui really was a little different. Li Chuanying didn't reply. Zhao Wenshui continued to speak. "Tianyu's mother, I've done a lot of stupid things to you in the past. I know I don't have the face to beg for your forgiveness, but I still want to sincerely apologize to you. Actually, I came this time to ask you to go back with me and live a good life together. After going through so much, I realized how important it is to live a good life as a family." Chapter 23:35. Zhao Wenshui raised his hand and swore. Then, he looked at Li Chuanying expectantly. Li Chuanying's expression changed slightly. In fact, when she saw Zhao Wenshui like this, she felt a little emotional. In the past, she didn't even dare to hope that Zhao Wenshui would say something like this. Today, Zhao Wenshui said it. "You don't have to apologize. Since we're divorced, I won't take what you did to heart. However, I think I'm living a good life now. I don't want to go back." Li Chuanying refused. "Tianyu's mother. Zhao Wenshui, we were husband and wife. When we divorced, it meant that our fate as husband and wife was over. There's no need for us to continue being together. Isn't it good for us to live our own lives? If you like any woman, you can marry her. I'm not here to stop you. Li Chueying smiled bitterly. Zhao Wenshui's throat suddenly choked. He couldn't say anything. He also felt very uncomfortable in his heart. Sigh. Zhao Wenshui sighed heavily. Since Li Chueying said so, no matter how thick-skinned he was, he couldn't beg Li Chueying to go back with him. Moreover, he was in the wrong first. Li Chueying was already benevolent enough to talk to him. How could he expect Li Chueying to treat him the same way? Then, okay, Tianyu's mother, I know what I did hurt you. It's normal that you don't want to go back with me and don't trust me. I have nothing to say today. I made a special trip here to apologize to you. Then I'll leave first. Zhao Wenshui was a little incoherent. He turned around and was about to leave in disappointment. Seeing Zhao Wenshui like this, Li Chueying felt strange. She felt a little heartache. Wait, Li Chueying called out to Zhao Wenshui. Zhao Wenshui turned to look at Li Chueying excitedly. He thought that Li Chueying had changed his mind and was willing to go back with him. Li Chueying said, "It's not easy for you to come here. It's almost noon. Why don't you stay for lunch? Otherwise, I won't be able to make it back in time for lunch." Zhao Wenshui had mixed feelings. He was a little disappointed, but also happy. He was disappointed that Li Chueying was not willing to go back with him as he had expected. He was happy that Li Chueying had asked him to stay for dinner, which meant that she still missed him. Zhao Wenshui pursed his lips and nodded with a smile. Mrs. Li said, "I'll go to the kitchen and get busy. You used to be my son-in-law. Go and cook 2 eggs and some dishes." "Mom, I'll cook with you." Li Chueying followed Mrs. Li into the kitchen. She didn't want to continue facing Zhao Wenshui in the courtyard. The more she faced Zhao Wenshui, the more soft-hearted she became. Li Chueying was afraid that she couldn't control herself. In the end, she was willing to go back to her hometown with Zhao Wenshui. Zhao Wenshui's gaze followed Li Chueying until Li Chueying's back disappeared. Then, he looked away resentfully. Li Dalong and Li Erling's expressions were a little ugly. He was just a heartless bastard. They didn't know what his mom and sister were thinking. They were actually willing to continue talking to him. Sigh, there was something wrong with their heads. Li Dalong and Li Erling rolled their eyes at Zhao Wenshui and went to get busy. Chapter 23:36. Li Dalong glanced at Zhao Wenshui faintly and replied, "No need." It was his mother and sister's business if they wanted to talk to Zhao Wenshui, but he didn't want to care. Anyway, he didn't want to be nice to Zhao Wenshui anymore. Zhao Wenshui was still thick-skinned. He licked his lips and said, "Big brother, let me do it. I'm tired from chopping wood. I should do this kind of tiring work. You go rest." Li Dalong stopped what he was doing and frowned as he thought about it. Since someone wanted to suffer, he couldn't stop him. Thus, he threw the axe in his hand at Zhao Wenshui. "Then I'll let you do it." "Okay." Zhang Wenshui took the axe and began chopping wood. Though it didn't move at all when he swung the axe, unlike Li Dalong, who could split the wood directly. Zhao Wenshui was a little embarrassed. Li Dalong glanced at Zhao Wenshui with some disdain, as if the words useless were written on his face. Zhao Wenshui smiled awkwardly and continued to swing the axe in his hand. This time, he used all his strength and chopped the wood heavily. Fortunately, this time, he finally made a hole. He continued to swing the axe, and the wood finally split. After chopping only one piece of wood, Zhao Wenshui felt that he had used up most of his strength. He didn't have enough strength to continue chopping. Huff! Zhao Wenshui sighed heavily. He had no choice but to chop. No matter how tired he was, he could only grit his teeth and continue. Otherwise, he would be despised by the Li family. Zhao Wenshui continued to chop wood with one breath. After a while, his whole back was soaked with sweat. Li Dalong saw that Zhao Wenshui couldn't muster up any energy and felt even more disgusted. He was a man, but he couldn't even do this kind of work. Looking at Zhao Wenshui's posture, he knew that he used to be lazy at home and didn't do much work. Men who were used to working wouldn't be as weak as Zhao Wenshui after regular training. Fortunately, his little sister had divorced this man. Otherwise, who knew how much more she would have suffered? At this time, Mrs. Li and Li Chueying, who were busy in the kitchen, saw the movement outside. Old Madam Li sighed in front of Li Chueying. "Daughter, look at this Zhao Wenshui. He actually took the initiative to help us. In the past, when he came over, he would cross his legs like a master. It seems that his temperament has really changed. Men, it's not easy to learn from their mistakes. You have to give him a chance." Li Chueying knew that old Madam Li was speaking up for Zhao Wenshui. In fact, when she saw Zhao Wenshui taking the initiative to help chop the firewood in Yu's insistence, she was surprised for a moment. After all, she knew very well how lazy Zhao Wenshui was in old Zhao's house. Now that he took the initiative to help chop the firewood, it was really not easy. It showed that Zhao Wenshui really wanted to change and live a good life. "Let's wait and see," Li Chueying said. Who knew if Zhao Wenshui was pretending? If Zhao Wenshui could continue like this, Li Chueying would be happy to go back and live with Zhao Wenshui. It wasn't because she forgave Zhao Wenshui, but because she missed Zhao Tianyu. With her, Zhao Tianyu could be taken care of. He couldn't count on others. Haha, okay. Old Madam Li laughed. After a while, old Madam Li and Li Chueying finished cooking and called Zhao Wenshui to eat. Zhao Wenshui heaved a sigh of relief. He finally didn't have to force himself to chop the firewood. Chapter 23:37. After today's ordeal, his back would definitely be sore. He didn't know if he would be able to get out of bed tomorrow. His body wasn't like a normal person's. He had suffered such a serious injury before and hadn't fully recovered, so his body was very weak. He had used too much strength today and used up all the energy he had accumulated over the past few days. The Li family didn't prepare a sumptuous meal. There were only a few vegetarian dishes and a bowl of scrambled eggs, but Zhao Wenshui wasn't picky. He sat at the table and wolfed down the food. As he ate, he praised the taste of the food. Old Madam Li was amused by Zhao Wenshui's sweet words. If it wasn't for the dirty things Zhao Wenshui had done before, she would be quite satisfied with his son-in-law. After lunch, the Li family didn't keep Zhao Wenshui for long and let Zhao Wenshui go back. Coincidentally, the matchmaker who had helped Li Chueying find a match came to the Li family again in the afternoon. She said that she had a marriage to introduce and wanted to invite Li Chueying to meet in Yang City tomorrow. The two of them could talk face to face and see if they were suitable. The matchmaker said that the man this time was a bachelor. He hadn't married because his family was poor. However, the man's appearance and character were very good, so she could consider him. In the eyes of the villagers, a bachelor was much better than a man with a child. After all, not having to raise a child could save a lot of food. If the two of them worked hard together, they could survive this time. Old Madam Li asked for Li Chueying's opinion. Li Chueying thought about it and felt that he could agree. If this bachelor was good, she would marry him. In any case, she would be soft-hearted and go back to live with Zhao Wenshui. The matchmaker smiled and told him the time and place, then left the Li family. Zhao Yin went back home from old Zhao's house and busied herself with various household chores during the day. Mu Yinfeng went to the camp with the emperor. He was probably reporting on work again. Zhao Yin didn't worry about Mu Yinfeng's official business. After all, she was just a woman. No matter how good she wasn't as professional as Mu Yinfeng. With so many things to do every day, how could she have a time to worry about this and that? Zhao Yin'er told Liang Jinxiao and Zhao Wenhua about her marriage with Mu Yinfeng. Liang Jinxiao and Zhao Wenhua were very excited. What they were most concerned about now was Zhao Yin'er's marriage. Seeing that Zhao Yin'er had finally succeeded this time, they put down their worries. Zhao Yin'er felt a little helpless. She didn't feel anything, but her parents were very excited. Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao couldn't wait any longer. They hurriedly informed the rest of old Zhao's family about the good news. Zhao Yin'er then asked Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao to prepare to go to the town tomorrow to customize new clothes. By the time he got married, everyone would definitely be dressed to the nines. Zhao Yin'er didn't want old Madame Mu to look down on her family. Hearing that the whole family was going shopping in Yang City, Daodu and Zhao Tianfu were very happy. Adults liked lively places, and children liked it even more. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Zhao Yun'er decided to take Liang Jinxiao and Zhao Wenhua to Yang City to walk around. If she remembered correctly, Liang Jinxiao and Zhao Wenhua didn't go out much and rarely saw the bustle in the city. Not to mention the delicious food and fun things in the city. When it was almost noon, Zhao Yun'er took care of cooking. Because the emperor was here, lunch was a little more sumptuous. Chapter 23:38. Other than this, she also bought 2 fish from a fisherman in the village and made a dish of braised fish. She also fried a plate of green pepper scrambled eggs, a plate of shepherd's purse, a plate of roasted eggplant, a bowl of green bean curd soup, and a dish of fried leeks. These dishes could only be eaten during the new year in the village. However, most of the dishes that Zhao Yun'er made were home-cooked dishes. Those few meat dishes were also made according to her own recipe. She tried her best not to let the emperor eat them. Before she finished making lunch, Mu Yinfeng came back from the camp with the emperor. As soon as they entered the courtyard, the fragrance of the dishes in the kitchen floated out. It smells so good. I don't know what kind of delicious food Miss Yun'er made for lunch. The emperor's eyes lit up with a bit of expectation. The emperor trusted Zhao Yun'er's culinary skills very much, so he knew that the food she made would definitely be delicious. Mu Yinfeng said with a smile, "The village is lacking in resources, so we can only use local ingredients. It can't compare to the imperial palace. Yin only made home-cooked dishes, so I hope the emperor doesn't dislike them." The emperor waved his hand and said with a smile, "Mu Aiqing is joking. How could this one dislike them? This one is tired of eating the good things in the imperial palace, so it's good to change the taste. This one likes to eat home-cooked dishes here. Ha! Ha! When in Rome, do as the Romans do." Mu Yinfeng made a rare joke with the emperor. It was only at this time that the two of them didn't have that much restraint between them. The emperor's lips curled into a smile. Of course. Why can't this one eat the food of the entire great Zhou country citizens? If possible, this one also wants to experience the life of a normal person. Just like Yun'er's family, leisurely and comfortable. How many people yearn for that? Mu Yinfeng thought for a moment, looking at the high and mighty person in front of him. Actually sitting in that position, his heart should be very lonely, right? Fighting and scheming every day. There were too many things to take care of, and there were too many worries on his shoulders. How could he be happy with such a heavy burden? Even if he had everything in the world, without happiness, what was the use of having so much? Mu Yinfeng felt that it would be better to live like an ordinary person. At least he would not have so many troubles every day. As long as they put in new efforts to eat and drink their fill, it would be perfect for the family to live happily together. If your majesty likes it, you can come and play more often. MMM. The emperor nodded with a smile and did not refuse. The two of them sat down in the courtyard. Liang Jinxiao held Tian Tian in his arms. Zhao Yun'er was cooking in the kitchen, so she could only take care of Tian Tian. However, this child was very obedient, so she didn't have to worry too much about it. She held him in her arms and obediently laid on her body, not making a fuss. As soon as she saw Mu Yinfeng come back, Tian Tian became energetic. She waved at Mu Yinfeng, then made a gesture to ask for a hug. Mu Yinfeng had a doting smile on his face. He walked to Liang Jinxiao and took Tian Tian from Liang Jinxiao's hands. Yaya, Tianten, who couldn't speak yet, was excitedly shouting something. Mu Yinfeng touched Tiantian's little face. This little girl was really strange. She knew that he hadn't been with her for a few days, so she wanted to hug him when she saw him. The emperor looked at Tian Tian in Mu Yinfeng's arms and also liked her very much. He asked curiously, "Whose child is this?" Chapter 23:39. You and Yun'er's daughter? The emperor asked in shock. This child looked like she was only a few months old. The last time he saw Zhao Yun'er was not even pregnant. Where did such a big daughter come from? No. Mu Yinfeng shook his head and then explained. Yun'er felt sorry for the child, so she adopted her. The emperor finally understood and nodded. So it's like this. This child looks very lovely. You've gained a daughter for nothing. Mu Yinfeng looked at Tian Tian in his arms and the doting smile on his face deepened. Yes, I gained a daughter for nothing. She seems to be sensible sometimes, but sometimes she likes to make trouble. She's a mischievous girl. Ha! The emperor laughed heartily, then moved closer to Mu Lianfeng and reached out to tease Tiantian. Tiantian gave the emperor face and smiled sweetly at him. A child's smile was undoubtedly the purest thing in the world. The emperor, who was used to seeing darkness and filth, couldn't help but feel moved when he saw Tiantian smile, and he liked Tiantian even more. Only Tiantian could make him completely let go of the grudge in his heart. What's the child's name? The emperor asked casually. Her name is Tiantian, Mu Lianfeng said. Tiantian, that's a good name. It suits her very well. Especially when he saw Tiantian's sweet smile. It was a perfect match. Can I hold her? The emperor couldn't help but ask. He really wanted to hold such a cute girl in his arms and love her. Yes, Mu Lianfeng nodded. The emperor reached out to hold her, and Tiantian also reached out to respond to the emperor's hug. The emperor took the little girl from Mu Lianfeng's arms. Her whole body was soft, and there was a sweet smell. It smelled good, and it made people feel inexplicably at ease. It wasn't that he didn't have his own princes and princesses, but he didn't often hold those children. Hesitation was often not with the children, and those children were also very distant from him. She wasn't sensible when she was young, but after spending some time together, she became closer to others. When they grew up and became more sensible, they would have the ability to recognize others and become more scheming. The emperor didn't want his children to get close to him with ulterior motives. She hoped that all her feelings could be pure and not mixed with other motives. Tiantian had fulfilled his expectations for his children. She was neither intimate with him, nor did she have any ulterior motive. Hugging the person in his arms, the emperor's joy increased even more. She called out Tiantian's name a few times, and the day before yesterday, she also gave her face and giggled. This child is really delightful. If the child can be given away, I really hope that Mu Aiqing can give this child to me, the emperor said jokingly. Mu Lianfeng smiled. It's her fortune that your majesty likes her. Huh. However, in the next second, the smile on the emperor's face disappeared. Seeing the emperor's expression, Mu Lianfeng asked curiously, Your Majesty, what's wrong? I feel a slight warmth in my abdomen, and it's a little wet. Mu Lianfeng was slightly stunned, and then he immediately realized what had happened. The expression on his face was a little serious, because he knew that the situation seemed to be a little serious. Chapter 2340. This person was the current Emperor Ah. Of all the people she could pee on, she had to pee on the Emperor. If the Emperor's health was affected, no one would be able to protect this child. Mu Lianfeng nervously observed the Emperor's reaction. Then he coughed lightly and said to the Emperor, Your Majesty, Tiantian probably peed on your body. HM? The Emperor was also shocked. Pee? She actually peed on his body? All these years, who dared to pee on his body? That was a great disrespect and would be beheaded. Today, he was peed on by a baby. This baby's guts really went against the heavens. However, when the Emperor lowered his head to look at Tiantian, the child didn't notice at all. Instead, she continued to giggle at the Emperor. Previously, the Emperor thought Tiantian's smile was very cute, as bright as the sun. Now, he suddenly felt that this child was doing it on purpose. A knife hidden in a smile. On the surface, she was smiling at you, but behind your back, she peed on you. A wry smile appeared on the Emperor's face. If it weren't for the fact that Tiantian was just a child, a few months old baby who didn't have her own thoughts and consciousness, he would have suspected that the child did it on purpose. Mu Lianfeng hurriedly took Tiantian from the Emperor's hands, then apologized to the Emperor. Your Majesty, please forgive her. This child is not sensible. Please don't bicker with her and forgive her. The Emperor chuckled. Mu Aiqing, look at what you're saying. Am I such a petty person? Bicker with a child? Your Majesty, of course not. It's just that Tiantian still offended your Majesty. This subject has to beg for your Majesty's forgiveness on her behalf. The Emperor waved his hand. All right, it's not a problem. Can Mu Aiqing help me find clean clothes so that I can change into them? At this time, the emperor's abdomen was soaked and stained with urine. Naturally, he had to wash it off. All right, this subject will find a clean set of clothes for your majesty. However, this subject has worn them before. Would your majesty mind? It's fine. Good. Mu Yinfeng dug out his own set of clothes and brought the emperor to the room to change. After changing her clothes, Zhao Yun'er's meal was also ready. The whole family sat together and had a joyful meal. The next morning, they took a carriage to Yang City. The emperor followed Mu Yinfeng to the Shixi mansion. The emperor wanted to tell old Madame Mu that he wanted to personally preside over Mu Yinfeng and Zhao Yun'er's wedding. Old Madame Mu did not expect that even the emperor would interfere in Mu Yinfeng's marriage. He was so determined to marry Zhao Yun'er. Previously, she did not agree with the emperor's marriage. She felt that Zhao Yun was not worthy of Mu Yinfeng. But now, he realized that this woman was not simple. Even the emperor attached great importance to her and personally conferred her the title of Imperial Madam. This showed that this woman had her own abilities. It was not easy to receive the emperor's praise. No matter how many opinions she had to trust the emperor's judgment. Therefore, old Madame Mu did not continue to object to Mu Yinfeng and Zhao Yun'er's marriage. Of course, more importantly, she did not dare to object. On the other hand, Zhao Yun'er brought the whole family to Yang City for a stroll. There were many people coming and going on the streets of Yang City. It was unusually lively. Zhao Wenhua, Liang Jinxiao, and Zhao Tianan often came to Yang City. They liked to see the lively streets. Chapter 2341. There were all kinds of shops on both sides of the street, selling all kinds of things. When he saw an old man selling candied haws, Daodu immediately rushed over and asked the old man, "Grandpa, how much does one stick of candied haws cost?" 2 copper coins for 1 stick. "Little child, do you want 1 stick?" Lil P nodded heavily. "Yes, I want 2 skewers." "Uncle, you should also have 2 skewers." After Daodu finished speaking, he looked at Zhao Yun'er behind him and said to Zhao Yun'er, "Mother, can Daodu eat some candied haws?" "Of course." Zhao Yun'er walked forward and took out some change from her pocket. "Daodu wants 2 sticks. Tianfu wants 2 sticks. Father, Mother, Tianan, Xin, and Yili, do you guys want some candy haws?" When Zhao Yun'er asked this, Zhao Yun'er's family was slightly stunned. Candied haws were for children to eat. How could they, as adults, eat candied haws? Zhao Tianan smiled shyly. "Sister, you can buy some for Daodu and Tianfu. We don't need it. If we still eat candied haws at this age, won't we be laughed at?" Zhao Yun'er replied with a serious expression. "Who said that only children can eat candied haws and not adults? I want to buy a stick to eat." "Mother, I'll buy 1 for you too. You're pregnant, so you'll definitely like to eat these sweet and sour things." After Zhao Yun'er finished speaking, Yili stood on Zhao Yun'er's side in agreement. Miss Yun'er is right. Candied haws aren't only for children. Give me 1 too." Zhao Yun'er was amused by Yili. Did he have to be so cooperative with her? Muhin also said shyly, "Sister Yun'er, give me a skewer too." After that, Zhao Yun'er bought a stick of candied haws for everyone. They ate as they walked. When she saw something delicious, Zhao Yun'er would buy some for her family. Since it was rare for them to go out, they had to eat and drink well. If he couldn't finish the food he bought, he could bring it back to continue eating. It was not so convenient in the countryside. Sometimes they might not be able to eat whatever they wanted to eat. Even if they had the money, they could not buy it. After eating and walking around, Zhao Yun'er brought the family to a clothing store and tailored a few sets of clothes for each of them. The fabric of the clothes was of the highest quality. It was a rare luxury. In fact, the money that the emperor bestowed to her was not enough to use up, if she relied on the speed at which she spent money in the countryside. So, sometimes, she had to be extravagant where she needed to be. Moreover, this time, Mu Yinfeng had specially given her more money. After everything was settled, Zhao Yun'er went to buy some things for the wedding. Unexpectedly, she bumped into Li Chuiying in Yang City. Early in the morning, Li Chuiying came to Yang City because he had promised matchmaker. He went to meet the so-called bachelor that matchmaker had mentioned at the agreed time and place. Coincidentally, she knew this bachelor. It was Zhao Ping. Li Chuiying did not expect this person to be Zhao Ping. Zhao Ping was also very surprised to see Li Chuiying. The two of them sat at the table, facing each other, and smiled awkwardly as they greeted each other. When matchmaker saw them, she asked, "Oh, you know each other?" Both of them nodded. Zhao Ping looked shy. "She used to be my sister-in-law." "What? Sister-in-law?" "Yes, but they're not biological brothers. They're from the same clan." Matchmaker's eyes darted around. This was not going to be easy. Chapter 2342. However, she was a matchmaker, and her purpose was to facilitate a marriage. Only when a marriage was successful could she get a red packet and earn money. She didn't care so much and could only persuade the two of them to be together. The matchmaker chuckled and said, "That means the two of you are really fated to be together. It's a good thing that you knew each other before. You only know each other after interacting with each other, so I don't need to say more. In my opinion, the two of you are perfect for each other. Why don't you live a good life together?" After the matchmaker said this, Zhao Ping and Li Chuiying both sighed at the fate between them. They already knew each other, but they didn't expect the matchmaker to introduce them. This was the first time Zhao Ping asked someone to look for his family. He wanted to find a woman to spend the rest of his life with. It was too lonely to live alone. Without a wife by his side, sometimes he couldn't even eat a hot meal. Unlike other men who went out to work, their wives could prepare meals for them. If he went out to work, he had to do it himself. He worked hard to earn money during this period and had accumulated some money. If he could really marry a woman, he would buy 1 or 2 mu of land and farm well. In addition to going out to work, he would be able to earn money back. He wouldn't have to live a poor life. Although Li Chuiying wasn't good-looking, he was still acceptable. He wasn't picky, as long as the woman didn't criticize him. After all, he knew that he had the qualifications and didn't have the capital to be picky. He couldn't expect an old and poor bachelor like him to be able to find a young and beautiful woman. As long as the woman was willing to live a good life with him, he would be happy. Zhao Ping knew how Li Chuiying divorced Zhao Wenshui back then. It was because Zhao Wenshui had gone too far. No wonder Li Chuiying came to him. On the other hand, Li Chuiying really wanted to live a good life with Zhao Wenshui back then. If he could really be with Li Chuiying, he definitely wouldn't be like Zhao Wenshui. Li Chuiying also knew Zhao Ping's character. This man had helped her more than once or twice before. He was an honest man who could bear hardships and endure hardships. He was a suitable man to live with. It was just that his family was a little poor in the past, and he didn't have parents to help him, so he didn't get married. It was for the best that she could marry Zhao Ping in another way. Putting aside the fact that Zhao Ping was suitable for her, she could marry into the Shui Lan village if she followed Zhao Ping. Zhao Ping's house and old Zhao's house were not far apart, so it was very convenient for her to take care of Zhao Tianyu. As for whether she would be ridiculed after marrying Zhao Ping, she didn't care at all. The most important thing was to live one's own life. Whether one felt good or not was the most important. When matchmaker saw that Li Chuiying and Zhao Ping were deep in thought and did not say anything, she asked anxiously, "Say something, you two. Can you at least tell me if it's suitable?" Zhao Ping blushed and said shyly, "I don't think it's a problem, but I don't know what sister-in-law thinks." Li Chuiying blushed slightly and looked up at Zhao Ping. She didn't expect that Zhao Ping would be willing to be with her. After all, she knew very well what kind of beauty she had. A good man like Zhao Ping deserved an even better woman. Li Chuiying said, "Brother Zhao Ping, there's something I don't know if you can promise me." "What is it, sister-in-law? Just say it." Chapter 2343. As long as she could take good care of Zhao Tianyu, being with Zhao Ping was a good choice. Li Chuiying knew that compared to Zhao Wenshui, Zhao Ping was definitely more suitable to be her man. He was the type to lead a good life. After marrying Zhao Ping, there would be no interference from her parents-in-law. She could be the head of the household and live a better life than in old Zhao's house. Zhao Ping thought that Li Chuiying would have some requests. Didn't women usually talk about money when they talked about conditions? Li Chuanying wasn't particular about this. After hearing Li Chuanying's words, Zhao Ping felt that Li Chuanying was a good woman who took care of her family. If he married such a woman and had children with her, she would definitely be able to take good care of the children. Zhao Ping smiled honestly and nodded in agreement. Sure, whatever you say. Tianyu is my nephew. You're his mother, so it's only right that you take care of him. I'm a man, so I won't be so petty. This isn't a problem at all. Why would I disagree? After hearing Zhao Ping's words, Li Chuanying had a rough idea of what to do. She smiled and looked at Zhao Ping with increasing satisfaction. Zhao Ping really didn't disappoint her. Matchmaker was good at reading people's expressions. Seeing the two of them like this, she knew that it was about time. She smiled and said to Li Chuanying, "Girl, look at how good Zhao Ping is. If you miss this opportunity, you won't get another one. Why don't you agree? You two can set a good date to be together. It's not easy to find a suitable person at your age." Li Chuanying lowered her head in embarrassment and replied with a grunt. Zhao Ping also smiled foolishly. Li Chuanying's agreement meant that he would have a wife in the future. There was an indescribable excitement and anticipation in his heart. He wouldn't be a bachelor. He would have a partner and live a good life with her. He would be able to earn more money in the future. At least he would have something to look forward to. Matchmaker smiled and said, Okay. That's settled then. You can plan the dates later." If they wanted to get married, they had to pick an auspicious day and do it as soon as possible. It's fine if you don't hold a wedding. After all, at your age, you don't have to bother with those fancy things. The woman can just live with the man. Li Chuanying felt very embarrassed at the thought of making such a big fuss about the wedding. She wasn't an unmarried young lady. It wasn't a glorious thing for her to get married at this age. Of course, the most important thing was that the wedding would cost a lot of money. Since she was married to Zhao Ping, she had to make sure that Zhao Ping did not spend too much money. Thus, he said, "Let's forget about the marriage. It's a waste of money and effort. It's better to keep everything simple." This time, Zhao Ping did not follow Li Chuanying's words. Instead, he had his own opinion and said to Li Chuanying, "That won't do. Since you're married to me, we can't make the wedding too shabby. We can't let you suffer. We have to show proper etiquette and let people know that you're the man I'm married and want to live a good life with." Li Chuanying was slightly stunned. Then, she felt touched. Actually, the wedding was just a formality, but Zhao Ping insisted on it. It meant that she was still important to him. Only when a man valued and respected you would you have a good life in the future. Chapter 2344. It seemed like she had made the right decision. She would definitely have a good life if she followed Zhao Ping. It was a blessing from the heavens that she was able to meet a good man after her divorce. She thought that she would be alone for the rest of her life. "Okay, we'll do as you say," Li Chuanying replied shyly. After the matchmaker's matchmaking, Li Chuanying and Zhao Ping were almost done with their discussion. When they were about to go back, they happened to bump into Zhao Yun'er and her family. Zhao Yun'er's family hadn't seen Li Chuanying for a while. When they saw Li Chuanying, they immediately greeted her. Second aunt, second sister-in-law. Seeing Zhao Yun'er's family, Li Chuanying also had some experience and went over to greet Zhao Yun'er's family. Third brother, third sister-in-law, why are you in Yang City? We're shopping. Yin will be getting married in a few days. We also have some custom-made clothes. We can't embarrass Yun'er on his wedding day. Ha, I see. Then I really have to congratulate Yun'er. She's finally getting married to the heir apparent. She'll be the heir apparent's consort in the future. A golden phoenix has flown out of the mountains and made us proud. When they heard that Zhao Yun'er was getting married, Liang Jinxiao and Zhao Wenhua were happy for Zhao Yun'er from the bottom of their hearts. When Liang Jinxiao and Zhao Wenhua heard this, they smiled from ear to ear and looked very proud. Indeed, as Li Chuanying said, Zhao was not only getting married, but also becoming the heir apparent's consort. This was a great honor. How many girls in the countryside could do this? To old Zhao's family, this was naturally a great honor. Second sister-in-law, it's been a while since you left old Zhao's house. How have you been? Liang Jinxiao asked with concern. When Li Chuanying had just returned to her parents' home, Liang Jinxiao had been worried about Li Chueying's situation. However, he didn't have the time to visit Li Chueying's parents' home to find out about Li Chueying's recent situation. Li Chueying smiled and replied, "It's pretty good. My mother, brother, and sister-in-law all treat me well. You were much better when you lived with old Zhao." Liang Jinxiao nodded. In that case, he was relieved. Second sister-in-law, actually, second brother has changed a lot recently. He's different from before. They had become more diligent and were working in a down-to-earth manner. If second sister-in-law doesn't mind, you can consider second brother again. Zhao Wenhua couldn't help but put in a good word for Zhao Wenshui. Of course, this was his true opinion. Zhao Wenshui didn't seem to be pretending. If second sister-in-law could consider carefully and come back to live with second brother, the second branch's life would become better and better. Li Chueying just nodded faintly and didn't seem to want to say anything more about this matter. Zhao Wenhua tactfully didn't say anything more. After all, Li Chueying was now divorced from Zhao Wenshui. In addition, Zhao Wenshui had done so many wrong things in the past. He couldn't always persuade Li Chueying to forgive Zhao Wenshui. By the way, second sister-in-law, why did you come to town today? Did you buy anything? Liang Jinxiao asked. Li Chueying was a little embarrassed to say that she was here for a blind date with Zhao Ping. Chapter 2345. Coincidentally, he bumped into Zhao Yun'er's family. Since they knew each other, Zhao Ping greeted Zhao Yun'er's family with a smile. Zhao Yun'er's family was still thinking that it was such a coincidence that they bumped into Li Chueying and Zhao Ping today. What shocked Zhao Yun'er's family was that Zhao Ping actually stuffed the Longan brown sugar into Li Chueying's hands and said to Li Chueying, "I just bought this. Take it back and stew it to nourish your body." What was going on? Zhao Ping bought something for Li Chueying? The two of them had nothing to do with each other. At most, they were uncle and sister-in-law, and they weren't blood-related. Even if Zhao Ping was kind enough to show concern for Li Chueying, he didn't have to do this. Spending money to buy something so expensive for Li Chueying, even blood-related brothers wouldn't do this. Most importantly, Zhao Ping didn't have much money. His own life wasn't good, so why would he care about Li Chueying? This was a little too much. Under the scrutinizing gaze of Zhao Yun'er's family, Li Chueying blushed and felt very embarrassed. So he rejected it and said, "This is too expensive. You should take it back. I can't accept it." However, Zhao Ping still insisted on stuffing it into Li Chueying's hands. "Take it. Since I bought it for you, don't refuse me. I'm a man. I can't eat these things to nourish my body. It's suitable for women. Take it." Zhao Ping smiled foolishly. Li Chueying was in a deadlock. He didn't know what to say, but he also didn't know what to say. He felt a little embarrassed in front of Zhao Yun'er's family. He reckoned that they had also noticed the unusual relationship between him and Zhao Ping. Li Chueying's mouth twitched awkwardly before he took the things. He glanced at Zhao Ping and was a little speechless. Actually, it was a blessing to be able to meet a man like Zhao Ping. If it was in the past, which man would be willing to buy such good food for her? Li Chueying struggled for a while before he accepted Zhao Ping's things. Ahem, Zhao Yun'er coughed lightly and joked at Zhao Ping. "Uncle Zhao, why are you so nice to my second aunt? Could it be that you've fallen for her?" After being teased by Zhao Yun'er, Zhao's face turned slightly red and lowered his head, too embarrassed to speak. Zhao couldn't help but sigh in her heart. Could it be that Zhao Ping really liked Li Chueying and wanted to be with her? However, Zhao Ping's face was full of shyness, and his silence made it clear that he had admitted to it. Zhao Yun'er's little heart could not accept it. When did these two people hook up with each other? Under the shocked expressions of Zhao Yun'er's family, Zhao Ping smiled and said, "Your second aunt and I are going to get married. We want to live together for the rest of our lives." Zhao Yun wasn't the only one who was shocked and couldn't react. Zhao Yun or his other family members were the same. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. They had thought of many scenarios, but they didn't expect Li Chueying to choose to be with Zhao Ping in the end. Li Chueying saw the reaction of Zhao Yun Er's family and felt even more embarrassed. However, it was useless to feel embarrassed. She would marry into Shui Lan village sooner or later, and the entire old Zhao's family would know. We're also old. We felt that we were suitable for each other, so we got together to live together, Li Chuiying explained. Chapter 2346. Come to think of it, it was indeed a good choice for Li Chuiying to live together with Su Yu. Compared to other men, Zhao Ping was very reliable. He was honest, and willing to help others. Apart from being poor, such a man was hard to find. Zhao Ping had been lonely for so many years, so it was good for him to live with Li Chuiying. At least the two of them would accompany and support each other, so they would not be too lonely. Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao also reacted. Zhao Yin'er smiled and said, "Yes, Yin'er is right. It's good for you to be together. Then I'll give you my blessings first." Zhao Ping smiled shyly and said, "I'll tell you the good news after we set a date." Okay. Li Chuiying was even more embarrassed. "Third brother, third sister-in-law, you're so nice. Thank you for your blessings." She felt a touch of warmth in her heart. She originally thought that Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao would be unhappy when they found out that she was going to remarry. Who knew that she would receive their blessings? This was really rare and not easy. "Second sister-in-law, what are you saying? We're happy for you from the bottom of our hearts that you can live well." After chatting with Zhao Ping and Li Chuiying for a while, they said goodbye. After they parted, Zhao Yin'er noticed that Zhao Wenhua's face was gloomy and he was frowning as if he was thinking about something. She asked Zhao Wenhua, "Father, you look so serious. What are you thinking about?" Zhao Wenhua smiled bitterly. "Sigh, seeing your second aunt and your uncle Zhao together, I'm both happy and uncomfortable." Zhao Yin'er already understood what Zhao Wenhua meant when he said that. Li Chuiying and Zhao Ping would naturally receive blessings if they were together. After all, both of them were good people and lived well together. It was a beautiful ending. However, if the two of them got together, it meant that Zhao Wenshui would no longer have a chance. Zhao Wenshui was Zhao Wenhua's second brother. In terms of kinship, Zhao Wenshui was Zhao Wenhua's biological brother. Zhao Wenhua would definitely side with Zhao Wenshui more. It was not easy for Zhao Wenshui to change his temperament. He had finally made up his mind to coax Li Chuiying back to live with him. Who knew that he would encounter such an ending? If Zhao Wenshui knew about this, he would definitely be very sad. What Zhao Wenhua was most worried about was whether Zhao Wenshui would be agitated and unable to recover from the setback. Zhao Yin'er sighed slightly and comforted Zhao Wenhua. "Father, this is someone else's business. We don't have to worry so much. It's second aunt's freedom to choose who she wants to be with. She knows who is more suitable for her. Some things are like this. If you miss in the past, there's no way to go back." Zhao Wenhua nodded in agreement. Zhao Yin'er was right. Some things were missed. If he had treasured it in the past, he would not have fallen out with her and would not have ended up like this. "Father, don't think about it. Let's go." "Okay." Zhao Wenhua hurriedly cast aside the anxiety in his heart. There was no use worrying about this matter. He was still happy. It was not easy for the family to come to Yang City, so they had to shop together. After a while, it will be Zhao Yin'er's wedding. Just thinking about it made him excited. It was great that the children in his family were all starting their own families. Chapter 2347. The whole family was ready to go home after a shopping spree. With the carriage and donkey cart, there was nothing to be afraid of, no matter how many things they had. Usually, they would not encounter such people in the countryside, so the whole family was in a good mood. Zhao Yin thought that if she had nothing to do in the future, she would take her family out for a stroll and have some fun. After returning, Zhao Yin'er's family began to prepare. As for the Shitsi manor, they also began to make preparations. With the emperor's intervention, old Madame Mu did not dare to slack off. Everything that needed to be prepared was perfect. Under normal circumstances, the betrothal gifts needed for the Shitsi's marriage were arranged according to the rules. However, because of the wedding preparations, Mu Yinfeng had to stay in the Shitsi manor. He and Zhao Yun would not see each other for a few days until the day of the wedding. Of course, this was according to tradition. Just like Zhao Tianan and Mu Hin had to be separated for a period of time before the wedding. Even though Zhao Yun, and Mu Lianfeng missed each other, they endured this period of separation. As the saying goes, absence makes the heart grow fonder. After this short separation, they were really newlyweds. Zhao Yun was still a little excited at the thought of becoming Mu Lianfeng's bride. Thinking about it, in the 21st century, she was a leftover woman who could not get married. Who would have thought that a leftover woman would have a chance to change her life? In this life, God took pity on her and sent her such a good man like Mu Lianfeng. During this time, the emperor also went to Mu Lianfeng. Firstly, he could discuss political affairs with Mu Lianfeng. Secondly, he had other things to deal with in Yang City. After the news that Zhao Yun wanted to marry Mu Lianfeng spread, the villagers were not too shocked. After all, they had known for a long time that Zhao Yun and Mu Lianfeng were together. But what they didn't expect was that Zhao Yun would marry over to be the legal wife, the princess consort. According to their expectations, Zhao Yun was just a little girl from the countryside. Even if she gave birth to a son from Mu Lianfeng, a mother's status would rise because of her son. Marrying Mu Lianfeng was indeed not bad. How could she be the legal wife? Many people sighed that Zhao Yun's life was really good. Just like that, she suddenly flew up the branch and became a phoenix. The child in the ravine had actually become the current princess consort. Some were envious, and some were jealous. Many people who didn't get along with Zhao Yun's family talked about them behind their backs. But no matter what, the fact that Zhao Yun had become the princess consort could not be changed. Zhao Yun did not pay attention to these rumors during this period of time. Instead, she calmly recuperated at home. In order to be a beautiful bride and give Mu Lianfeng a little surprise on the wedding day, Zhao Yun began to take care of her skin. Previously, she had been busy with her life and hadn't had a chance to rest. She also hadn't taken good care of her appearance, so she looked a little rough. Her skin was a little dry and a little dark. It wasn't as fair and tender. As the saying goes, a fair complexion covers up 3 ugly things. It was always good to have fair skin. Zhao Yun hurriedly got some cucumber, cut it into slices, and applied it to her face. Then, she leisurely leaned against the chaise lounge and closed her eyes to enjoy it. After applying the cucumber, she felt that her skin was much more moisturized. She estimated that her skin would be better after a few more days of applying it. In these few days, she also tried not to go out in the sun. With Mu Hin and Liang Jinxiao around, she didn't have to do a lot of housework. Chapter 2348. Ghost. Zhao Yun had just fallen asleep when she was startled awake by Zhao Ping's shouting. She glared at Zhao Ping with some displeasure. "Are you calling a ghost?" When Zhao Ping heard Zhao Yun's familiar voice, she knew that the woman in front of her was Zhao Yun. Zhao Ping frowned and asked with some confusion, "Zhao Yun, what's wrong with you? There's so many cucumber slices on your face. It can scare people to death in broad daylight. What are you doing with these things? You might as well eat the cucumber. What a waste." Zhao Yun said angrily, "What do you know? This is my secret recipe. If you don't know, don't talk nonsense." Zhao Ping's curiosity was aroused. She continued to ask in a fawning manner, "Secret recipe? What kind of secret recipe was that? What's the effect of this thing?" She had seen Zhao Yun's ability before. Not to mention other things, Zhao Yun liked to do these strange things. Some things that people couldn't understand were really useful. Zhao Ping thought that if she could learn something useful from Zhao Yun, she might be able to help her earn money. Wasn't it the method of making pig offal that she learned from Zhao Yun that helped her open a restaurant and earn money? Zhao Yun thought that it wouldn't hurt to tell Zhao Ping. After all, this woman was very ugly. If she could take care of her skin like Zhao Ping, at least she would be able to walk out with less shame. So she said to Zhao Ping, "Apply cucumber slices on your face. Your skin will be much better and more moist." After listening to Zhao Yun's words, Zhao Ping couldn't help but sigh in her heart. It was just an ordinary cucumber. How could it have such an effect? But after hearing Zhao Yun'er's words, Zhao Ping'er thought about it carefully. Zhao Yun'er's skin had indeed improved over the past few days. She thought that Zhao Yun'er had applied something good on her face, but she didn't expect that it was just some cucumber. Cucumbers aren't anything valuable. Everyone can afford to use them. In that case, she could also use it. Do we still have cucumbers at home? I want to try them too. Zhao Ping'er said excitedly. She couldn't wait. Why don't you ask, Mother? He good? Zhao Ping answered happily. Then he thanked Zhao Yun'er. Zhao Yun'er, thank you. It was rare for her to sincerely thank Zhao Yun'er. This time, she said it because Zhao Yun'er didn't hide any secret recipes. She wanted to have the opportunity to help her become prettier. Zhao Yun'er snorted softly. She didn't accept it. After a while, Zhao Ping copied Zhao Yun'er and stuck cucumber slices all over her face. She would take care of her skin for the next few days. In 2 days, she would have to go to town to see a doctor. The birthmark and freckles on her face needed to be removed the most. What if she met a godly doctor and became prettier? On the other hand, Yuli had been pestered by Dowdu for the past 2 days, so he brought Dowdu deep into the mountains to hunt. After a few practice sessions, Dowdu's archery skills had improved. The past 2 days had been fruitful, and they had hunted a lot of game back. Zhao Yun'er's family ate meat for every meal without spending any money. They almost fattened up. Yili walked in front and helped Dowdu scout the situation ahead. Dowdu followed behind with a bow and arrow in his hands, ready to shoot at any time. Suddenly, a scream came from the forest. It was a girl's voice. Chapter 23:49. Dowdu nodded and carefully retreated to the side, fearing that some wild animal might be attacking. The screams were getting closer and closer, as if someone was running towards them. The voice sounded like a girl's. Yili guessed that it was a girl from the village who accidentally entered the mountain and encountered danger. Since they encountered it, they had to save her. After all, it was a life, and they couldn't just leave it behind. Soon, he saw a person dressed in men's clothing running over. His appearance was unusually handsome, with a feminine temperament. This person's voice sounded like a woman's as well. However, he was dressed like a man. Yili thought that this person was a little sissy, whether it was his appearance or his voice. A wild boar was following behind this person. The wild boar was very fast, and the sissy ran too fast and fell to the ground. Just as he closed his eyes in despair, a figure suddenly flew over and slashed the wild boar, causing it to fall to the ground. He was originally waiting for the wild boar to bite him, but he didn't feel any pain after a while. He opened his eyes slightly and saw a handsome man standing in front of him. That face, that silhouette, those facial features. It was definitely the best-looking person he had ever seen. There was actually such a good-looking man in the world. It was too shocking, too unexpected. As for the wild boar that was chasing him, it was also split in half and fell to the ground. This person actually killed such a powerful wild boar with a single slash. His kung fu was too powerful. Not only was he good-looking, but his kung fu was also very good. Most importantly, he saved him. He was his savior. Sissy blinked and stared at Yili in front of him for a few more times. This person must be an immortal that descended from the heavens and specially rushed over to save him. Otherwise, how could he explain why he suddenly appeared when he was in danger? Yili felt a little uncomfortable when Sissy heard this. He felt that this person's gaze was too scorching. It seemed like he had bad intentions. How could a man look at another man like that? Could it be that this person was gay? The more Yili thought about it, the more he felt a chill in his heart. He couldn't help but shudder. After that, Yili prepared to leave. Such a big wild boar can also be brought back to eat. Even if they couldn't eat it, they could still sell it. Seeing that Yili was about to leave, Sissy immediately got up from the ground and called out to Yili, Brother Immortal, where are you going? Are you going back to heaven? The corner of Yili's mouth couldn't help but twitch. He wondered if this person was crazy. First, she acted like a sissy, and then she called him Brother Immortal. Not only that, he even asked him if he wanted to return to the heavens. He couldn't fly, so how could he fly into the sky? Crazy. There must be something wrong with his head. Since he was dealing with someone who was mentally ill, he naturally couldn't say anything more. Yili paused for a while and then continued to walk forward. Sissy was a little anxious. He quickly chased after Yi Li and shouted behind Yi Li, "Brother Immortal, why are you ignoring me? Oh, I have to thank you for saving me. You're so good-looking, you're so powerful. Brother Immortal, is this the path to heaven? Will I also go up into the sky with him?" Sigh, I haven't been to heaven yet. I don't know what it's like. Chapter 2350. The sissy behind him was very long-winded, and he was spouting crazy nonsense. Yili was speechless. He wanted to tell the sissy to shut up, but he remembered that he was talking to a mentally ill person. He might not be able to understand him, so he decided to just forget about it. Since the sissy was mentally ill, he would forgive him. Yili walked a few steps, and Daodu came out from the bushes and followed Yili obediently. When the sissy saw Daodu, he was also attracted by Daodu's delicate and cute little face. Such a good-looking baby must be a flower boy. The man who saved him just now must be the flower god. After all, he was so good-looking like a flower. What else could he be but the flower god? Brother Immortal, are you the flower god from the heavens? Such a baby must be your flower boy? Yi Li's mouth twitched again. What was this person talking about? How did he become the flower god? Daodu lifted his cute little face and said to the sissy, "Brother, Uncle Yi is not the flower god, and Daodu is not a flower boy." Ah, the sissy was slightly stunned. Not an immortal? If he wasn't an immortal, how could he be so good-looking and powerful? There was a hint of shock in his eyes, as if he couldn't believe it. Are you really not immortals? The sissy couldn't help but confirm. No. Daodu shook his head heavily. We are villagers at the foot of the mountain. My family lives at the foot of the mountain. I see. The sissy took a deep breath, then looked at Yi Li with an even more infatuated look. I didn't expect this hero to be so skilled, even though he's not an immortal. I'm impressed. Thank you for saving my life just now. Otherwise, I would have been trampled to death by a wild boar. The sissy clasped his hands and thanked Yi Li solemnly. Yi Li glanced at the sissy faintly, then said, "No need to thank me. Be careful when you go into the mountain alone. There are many wild beasts in the mountain. If you don't have the ability, it's better to leave early. Don't waste time here." The sissy heard Yi Li's words of concern and nodded heavily. "Thank you for your reminder. I'll go back now. I just lost my way for a while and ended up in this mountain." After he finished speaking, the sissy's gaze was still fixed on Yi Li. The man in front of her was really the best in the world. Not only was he good-looking and capable, but even his voice was so seductive. Listening to it made people's hearts go numb. She didn't expect such a man to appear in such a remote place. It was really rare. "Well," Yi Li responded faintly. She turned around quickly and continued to walk down the mountain with Daodu. He felt uncomfortable being stared at by the sissy, but he couldn't say anything. The sissy was weird, so it was better to leave him as soon as possible. After walking for a while, he realized that the sissy was still following him. He asked unhappily, "There's no danger now. Why are you still following me?" The sissy grinned, revealing a row of white teeth. His pair of foxy eyes narrowed into slits. He was quite cute. Yi Li was frightened by the evaluation he had just made. How could he think that another man was cute? That was too scary. His face stiffened, and he became more serious. Chapter 2351. Sissy put his palms together and prayed. Then he looked at Yi Li pitifully. Yi Li could not describe his feelings. In any case, he didn't want this sissy to continue following him, and he didn't want him to continue chattering in his ear. But no matter how unwilling he was, he couldn't just leave her here. After all, Sissy was already in danger. If he was not around, this person could meet again at any time. Sissy did not know any martial arts, so he did not have the ability to deal with those wild animals. Yi Li thought that, after all, it was a human life. He couldn't ignore it. Then, he nodded unwillingly. "Okay, then follow me down the mountain." Sissy heard and said gratefully, Thank you, hero. Yili could not help but add, "You're welcome. But I have a condition for bringing you down the mountain. Hero, what is it? Don't talk nonsense beside my ear. Watch your mouth." Sissy was stunned. Did the hero think that he was too naggy? But he did not say anything. It was obvious that he was praising Yi Li. It was the first time he met someone who did not like to be praised. But it was because of this that Sissy felt that Yi Li was different from others. Not only was he handsome and capable, but he also had a good character. He did not like to be flattered. It was rare. To prevent Yi Li from hating him, Sissy followed Yi Li down the mountain quietly. As he walked, he admired Yi Li's handsome back, especially when he saw Yi Li carrying a wild boar effortlessly. He could not help but be impressed by Yi Li's godly strength. It was rare for such a good man to appear in such a poor and remote place. It seemed that his trip to Sun City was right. God had arranged for him to meet Yi Li. Yi Li walked in front and felt that his back was burning. There seemed to be a gaze staring at him from behind. It was very uncomfortable. However, Yi Li did not want to turn around because he did not want to see this sissy that made him feel extremely uncomfortable. Dowdu, on the other hand, noticed that something was amiss. She tugged at Yi Li's arm and whispered into Yi Li's ear, "Uncle Yi, does that guy like you? He keeps looking at you, just like how my father looks at my mother." Dowdu's words sent a chill down Yi Li's spine. This sissy was really staring at him. It was too disgusting. For a grown man to act like this towards another grown man, it was obvious that he was gay and had homosexual tendencies. He was a normal man, so it was natural for him to feel weird being targeted by a man with an abnormal sexual orientation. Yi Li picked up Dowdu and hurried down the mountain. He wanted to reach the foot of the mountain as soon as possible so that he could get rid of this sissy. After walking for about 10 to 20 minutes, they finally reached the entrance of the village. Yi Li stopped in his tracks and said unhappily to the sissy, "We're already at the village, so you're safe. You don't have to follow me anymore. I'll take my leave now." After Yi Li finished speaking, he quickly turned around and prepared to leave. However, Sissy called out to him, "Hero, wait." Yi Li became even more impatient. What else? Chapter 2352. The corner of Yi Li's mouth twitched. He felt that he had been inexplicably pestered by this sissy in front of him. Yi Li had promised to bring him down the mountain. Now that they were finally down the mountain, he wanted to stay at Yi Li's place for the night. It was obvious that he was up to no good. Yi Li didn't know if he was using the excuse of staying at Yi Li's place. Seeing Yi Li's impatience and unwillingness, Sissy said pitifully, "Hero, I don't want to trouble you, but I really don't have a choice. You saved my life today. I know you're a good person, so you'll definitely take me in, right? I'll stay here for the night and cause you some trouble. I'll leave tomorrow, okay?" Yi Li frowned and rejected him directly. "I'm sorry, but if you really want to stay, you can stay at someone else's place. I'm also staying at a friend's place, so I can't do that. I hope you can forgive me." After Yi Li said that, he turned around and walked away arrogantly. He decided to ignore this sissy so that he wouldn't push his luck and continue to ask for more. Sissy panicked for a moment. Brother Immortal completely ignored him. What should he do? Actually, he wasn't lying. He really didn't have anywhere else to go. He couldn't rush back to Yang City at this time. In addition, he couldn't bear to leave Yi Li. That was why he thought of staying at Yi Li's place. He thought Yi Li would agree, but he didn't expect to be rejected. Seeing Yi Li stride away, Sissy quickened his pace and jogged to catch up with Yi Li. After walking for a while, Sissy followed Yi Li to Zhao Yun'er's place. Zhao Yun'er had just finished applying the ointment on her face. Now that she washed it with water, her face looked much more moist. A woman's skin should be taken care of more to make it more delicate. In the past, she was tired of living and had no choice but to show her face in public every day to earn money. Now that she didn't lack money, she could start to enjoy her life. In addition, life in the countryside was leisurely and comfortable. It was perfect for living. As soon as Yi Li arrived at the courtyard, he put down the wild boar on his back and carried a few hares in his hands. Seeing so much game, Zhao Yun'er came out of the house and said with a smile, "What a rich harvest. Yes, the wild boar is quite big. We can buy it in Yang City. This hare can be left here for us to eat together. Everyone can have more food in the evening. Yi Li smiled at Zhao Yun. In front of others, it was difficult for Yi Li to show her smile under normal circumstances. Only in front of Zhao Yun, she smiled with a touch of affection. Zhao Yun also responded with a smile. Wild boar meat did not taste as good as domestic boar meat, but it could still be sold for some money. The wild boar that Yi Li carried back this time weighed about 50 kilograms. Wild boar meat could be sold for 8 or 9 copper coins per caddy. This whole pig could be sold for 1 or 2 taels of silver. It was considered pretty good. If this happened when Zhao Yun had just transmigrated here, it would definitely be a huge sum of money. Sissy followed Yi Li to Zhao Yun's courtyard. He saw that Yi Li and Zhao Yun's attitude when talking to each other was completely different from how they treated him. From his perspective as a bystander, it was obvious that Yi Li liked Zhao Yun. Then he saw that Yi Li and Zhao Yun were about the same age, so he guessed that the two of them might be husband and wife. The possibility of them being husband and wife was quite high. Chapter 23:53. He observed Zhao Yun's appearance. She seemed to be quite average. Although she could be considered delicate and pretty, her looks were still far from being a beauty, especially when Zhao Yun and Yi Li stood together. The difference in looks was even greater. A handsome man like Yi Li should be matched with an even prettier beauty. Why did he fall for an ordinary-looking village girl? Sissy frowned and couldn't figure it out. Zhao Yun noticed the sissy who followed them into the courtyard, so she asked the sissy a question. My name is Anil. Sissy smiled and introduced himself to Zhao Yun. May I know why you've come to my house? Well, Anil glanced at Yi Li first, then revealed his purpose. I wanted to ask if I could stay at your house for the night. I can't go back to Yang City at this time. Yi Li saw that Sissy had shamelessly followed him to Zhao Yun's house, and now mentioned staying in front of Zhao Yun. Before Zhao Yun could reply, Yi Li said, Yun, your house is already full. There shouldn't be any way to keep him, right? There are other families in our village. Why don't we let him stay at someone else's house? Anyway, it was fine as long as Sissy wasn't at Zhao Yun's house. He didn't want him to appear in front of her again. Just looking at him made her feel uncomfortable. Zhao Yun frowned and was a little conflicted. There were indeed too many people living in her house. It was really inconvenient to let a stranger stay at her house, but there was an empty house. They could make do with it. Facing this person who called himself Anil, Zhao Yun didn't know if she should reject him. Seeing that he was alone, she felt a little pitiful. If she rejected him, the other families in the village might not be willing to let him stay at their house. If her family didn't have a house to live in, it was even more impossible for other families to have one. Basically, the houses of every family in the village were not big enough. With a few family members squeezed into one house, it was really inconvenient to accommodate a stranger. From this person's attire, Zhao Yun could roughly guess that his identity should not be simple. At the very least, he should be the son of a wealthy family. The material and embroidery of the clothes were very good. How can an ordinary family afford it? However, this person didn't look very tall, only about 1.6 meters. His appearance was also on the feminine side. He didn't look like a man, but more like a woman. Anil hurriedly said, I know it's troublesome for you to stay overnight, but I can pay for it, just like staying in a restaurant. And Luz said and quickly took out 2 gold ingots from his sleeves. He took the gold ingots and asked Zhao Yun, Miss, I don't know if this money is enough. I beg you, just let me stay for one night. I'll leave tomorrow. Zhao Yun thought about it and finally agreed. Seeing that this person was really helpless, it wasn't difficult to help him. Anyway, there were many people in her family. One more person wouldn't matter. All right, my family will vacate a room for you to stay for one night. As for the money, there's no need. It's no trouble at all. Anil said excitedly, thank you so much, Mississippi Miss. You're really a great person. Young master is too polite. Zhao Yun replied with a slight smile. Chapter 2354. Anil also sensed Yi Li's displeasure and felt very uncomfortable. He hadn't done anything wrong, so why did Yi Li seem to hate him so much? Especially the cold aura emanating from Yi Li, which made him shiver uncontrollably. Yi Li frowned and walked towards Anil with a gloomy expression. Anil thought that Yi Li was going to hit him and chase him out of the courtyard. However, when he saw Yi Li standing in front of him, he stopped in his tracks. Because Yi Li was much taller than him, when they stood face to face, Yi Li looked even taller. Anil raised his head and looked at Yi Li. His heart couldn't stop thumping, and he was extremely nervous. He quickly took a few deep breaths and tried his best to calm himself down. Standing so close to Yi Li, he could smell the faint scent of sweat on his body. Most importantly, he could see Yi Li's features at such a close distance. They were so beautiful that it was suffocating, especially his eyes. They were like stars shining brightly. His eyelashes were very dark and long, like a pair of butterfly wings. They fluttered like butterfly wings when he blinked. Anil felt a strange feeling in his heart. The man in front of him was like a luminous object emitting a mesmerizing glow. He couldn't help but be attracted to him. Yi Li looked down at Anil. Madame clenched her fists and asked Yi Li nervously, What do you want? Yi Li didn't answer immediately. Instead, he reached out and placed his hand on Anil's hand. Anil's heart skipped a beat. He wondered if Yi Li was going to do something to him, but it was broad daylight. It wouldn't be good if someone saw them. If Yi Li wanted to do something to him, he could have done it secretly at night. Anyway, he was staying here tonight. Just as Anil's imagination was running wild, Yi Li dug out the 2 gold ingots from Anil's hands. Yi Li was stunned. Reality seemed to be a little different from what he had imagined. Why did Yi Li only take the gold ingot in his hand? After Yi Li received the gold ingot, he said calmly, Since you're staying overnight, you'll have to pay the lodging fee. Anil came back to his senses and smiled awkwardly. Of course. In any case, he didn't lack that bit of money. As long as Yi Li was happy, it was fine. Of course, the most important thing was that he could stay here overnight. If he could stay the night, he would be able to find out more about Yi Li's situation. Spending this small amount of money was definitely worth it. Yi Li smirked, then turned around and walked up to Zhao Yuner. He stuffed the gold ingot he took from Anil into Zhao Yuner's hands. Yuner, take it. We can't make a losing deal. Besides, he's the one who offered to pay this time. We can't possibly not take the money, right? Zhao Yuner smiled and looked at the 2 gold ingots in her hands. She thought that the lodging fee was really high. Even the most luxurious inn in Yang City wouldn't cost so much money for a night. Yi Li had been living with her for some time. She wasn't sure if he had been influenced by her, but he had also learned this skill. However, seeing that Anil really did look like a rich person who didn't care about money, it was just as Yi Li said. They really should not take the money. Zhao Yuner nodded. Yes, you're right, but you also have a share of the money. Let's share it. Zhao Yuner said and put another ingot of gold into Yi Li's hand. Yi Li knew Zhao Yuner's character, so he didn't refuse. Chapter 2355. Yi Li shuddered at the thought that the sissy would be staying at Zhao Yuner's house for the night, which meant that he would have to see him for another night. Goosebumps broke out all over Yi Li's body, and the feeling in his heart became even stranger. At this moment, he felt like he was being targeted by another man. However, he had a normal sexual orientation and was completely uninterested in the sissy. Yi Li turned around and went back into the house, feeling a little stifled. He didn't want to face the sissy. Zhao Yuner saw Yi Li's reaction. He seemed to be very unwilling to let Anil stay the night. She didn't know what happened between the 2 of them. Since she had already said it, she couldn't go back on her words. Zhao Yuner could only continue to let Madame stay. Come in and rest for a while. Zhao Yuner called out to Anil. Madame nodded vigorously in response, then eagerly entered Zhao Yuner's house. It seemed like it was Anil's first time seeing a house in the countryside, so he was very curious and looked around. He couldn't get enough of it. Zhao Yuner also allowed Anil to look around her house. Although the house wasn't very big, it was considered pretty good in the countryside. Moreover, This house was basically designed by Zhao Yun, so the structure was a little different from ordinary houses. Anil looked for a while before looking away. He then smiled at Zhao Yun and said, "Your house is really small, but it seems to be the biggest in this village. If a house in the countryside is like this, it naturally can't compare to a young master's house." Anil nodded and said, "That's true. No one can compare to my house. So the houses of ordinary people are actually like this." And Li's mouth muttered something again, and Zhao Yun didn't hear it clearly. However, from Anil's behavior and words, she could tell that he was definitely a local tycoon. It was probably the first time he came to the countryside and saw the living conditions of the villagers. "My family's condition is also like this. I hope Gongzi does not dislike it." Zhao Yun thought that Enlu was not used to living in her family's simple and crude conditions. Anil quickly waved his hand and said, No, I don't mind. I think it's pretty good. The bigger the house, the colder it gets. Your house isn't big, but there are so many people. It's actually quite cozy." Anil grinned. The smile on his face was pure, like that of a little girl. It had been a long time since Zhao Yun had seen someone with such a pure smile. She thought that Anil must be very innocent as well. For some reason, after seeing Anil smile, Zhao Yun had a good impression of him. Of course, this kind of good impression was just pure liking. There was no other meaning. I also think that a small room would be cozy. A big house isn't necessarily better than a small one. The most important thing is to live together as a family. Harmony and joy are the most important things. Anil agreed with Zhao Yun's words. He smiled and replied, "You're right. I have another question. What's the name of that handsome brother just now?" At the mention of Yi Li, Anil's face revealed a hint of shyness. Zhao Yun was slightly taken aback. Naturally, she knew that Anil was asking about Yi Li. However, looking at Anil's expression, it seemed like he had other thoughts about Yi Li. A grown man being overly concerned about another grown man was always very strange. Chapter 2356. Whether it was in ancient times or modern times, there seemed to be homosexuals. The Anil in front of her gave off a feminine vibe. He might be the legendary bottom. He might have been mesmerized by Yi Li's handsome appearance. That was why he cared so much about Yi Li. No wonder Yi Li treated Anil like that. He probably saw through Anil's feelings for her. Zhao Yun had read a lot of romance novels in the 21st century, so she wasn't opposed to relationships between men. As long as it was true love, it could break through the restrictions of age, status, and even gender. As long as they loved each other, they could be together. There was no need to care so much. Unfortunately, Yi Li's sexual orientation was normal. He probably wouldn't accept Anil. Seeing that Zhao Yun was silent for a while and didn't answer his question, Anil waved his hand in front of Zhao Yun's face. "Mississippi, what are you thinking about?" Zhao Yun came back to her senses. She coughed and replied awkwardly, "Ahem. I'm sorry. I was lost in thought. Do you mean the good-looking brother is Yi Li?" "Yi Li?" "Yes, his name is Yi Li." "Yi Li." Anil couldn't help but mutter a few words. Yi Li was a nice name. He thought that the name of a country bumpkin would be very old-fashioned. That was because he heard people calling out other men's names. They were all very old-fashioned. Daju Dali Dinyo Erhu. She was originally worried that Yi Li's name was also old-fashioned. Now that she heard Yi Li's name, she realized that her worries were unnecessary. After all, Yi Li was so good-looking. Those old-fashioned names didn't match. I have another question. Anil continued shyly. Zhao Yun thought that Anil wanted to find out more about Yi Li. "Young master, please feel free to ask." Unexpectedly, Anil asked, "Are you Yi Li's wife?" Zhao Yun quickly shook her head and explained, "No, Yi Li is my friend. He's staying in my house temporarily. I'm already someone else's wife. Our child is already 3 years old. We're going to get married in 2 days." Upon hearing that Zhao Yun was not Yi Li's wife, Anil heaved a sigh of relief. That was good. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Anil smiled at Zhao Yun and said, "Miss, I wish you all the best." Zhao Yun laughed heartily. After chatting with Anil for a while, Bien Chao began to eat dinner. Because of the game Yili had brought back, the dinner at home was very sumptuous. Anil was also very satisfied with the food. In particular, he had a soft spot for Zhao Yun'er's home-cooked dishes and roasted rabbit meat. Yili was eating at the same table as Anil. When he saw Anil like this, he couldn't help but feel a little disdainful. When he saw Anil finish an entire wild rabbit, Yili couldn't control his emotions. He said to Madam, "You've already eaten a lot. Since you've eaten so much, you have to pay for your food." Anil was slightly taken aback. He looked up at Yili and tried hard to swallow the food in his mouth. He really didn't care about his image. He had embarrassed himself in front of Yili. Yili looked at him with disdain. Anil couldn't help but feel a little sad. Chapter 23:57. Zhao Yun'er was a little confused. Yili was usually quite gentle and was very friendly to his family. Why was he so cold and picky when facing Anil? Although Anil cared a little too much for Yili, he shouldn't have such an attitude. Anil smiled embarrassedly. He quickly took out another gold ingot and handed it to Zhao Yun'er. Of course. Yili is right. The dinner tonight is so sumptuous. Of course we should pay more. Miss Yun'er, I wonder if this is enough. The family at the dinner table saw Anil take out gold ingots like other people take out copper coins. They couldn't help but sigh at how rich Anil was. Zhao Yun was also shocked by Anil. This person is really a big local tyrant. Just going out for a trip, how many gold ingots did he bring with him? Even if he was from a rich family, he would still feel a little pain when taking out gold ingots, right? Anil seemed to have no concept of money. Zhao Yun thought that she had received 2 gold ingots from him for one night. She felt that she had taken a big advantage of him. It's enough. Let's not talk about eating for a day. It's enough for you to eat at my house for a few days, Zhao Yun'er said. Although the food at his house was good, 1 gold ingot was enough to last them for a long time, even if they charge according to the restaurant's price. Is that so? Then can I stay at your house for a few more days? Miss Yun'er, I think this place is pretty good. I want to stay for a few more days and have fun, Anil said excitedly. Other than wanting to stay for a few more days, the most important reason was that he didn't want to leave. Because if he left, he wouldn't be able to see Yili again. Sob. He really couldn't bear to leave. No. Before Zhao Yun'er could reply, Yili replied with disdain. He couldn't stand this sissy Lu Yuan anymore. He would probably go crazy, let alone stay for a few more days. Looking at Yi Li's angry face, and Lu curled his lips with some grievances. He tried hard to hold back his tears and not let himself cry. Zhao Yun'er looked at the scene in front of her very awkwardly. Yi Li's dislike of Anil was beyond her imagination. Perhaps as a straight man, he couldn't accept a sissy who was interested in him. Yi Li took a deep breath and adjusted her mood to be a little normal. The world is big and there are so many places you can go. Since you have money, you can live happily anywhere. Why do you stay and make trouble? And Lu put down the food in his hand and said pitifully, Actually, I ran away from home this time. I don't know where I can go by myself. It wasn't easy to come here. I think it's pretty good, so I want to stay for a few more days. After waiting for a few more days, I might have to go home. I don't know if I'll have the chance to come out again. Zhao Yun'er and her family felt pity for Anil when they heard him speak. So Anil had run away from home. It wasn't easy. If he didn't know where to go, what was the use of having money? Besides, Anil was so thin and weak. If people found out that he had a lot of money on him, it would be the most dangerous thing. Who knew how many people would target him? If he met someone who wanted to rob him, Madam would be in danger. Chapter 23:58. Liang Jinxiao was a kind-hearted person. When he heard Anil's words, he pitied him. She asked, My child, how could you run away from home? How worried will your family be if you leave home like this? Anil's eyes reddened at Liang Jinxiao's question. He wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes and said, Auntie, you don't know. Actually, I don't really want to run away from home, but I have no choice. My family is forcing me to marry someone I don't like. That's why I want to run away from home. I want to scare them and wait for them to compromise before I go back. If they force me to marry someone I don't like again, then I won't go back for the rest of my life." Liang Jinxiao was silent for a moment. So that's what he was trying to say. Yili glanced at Anil indifferently, wondering if Anil was lying to gain sympathy. However, regardless of whether Anil was lying or not, it was too embarrassing for a man like him to cry. As the saying goes, men don't cry easily. He didn't know how to be embarrassed to cry over such a trivial matter in front of so many people. Zhao Yun'er furrowed her brows and was a little angry. The worst thing about ancient times was that parents' orders and matchmakers' words were highly valued. They couldn't even make decisions for the people they were going to spend the rest of their lives with. It was really disappointing and helpless. Even wealthy families couldn't make their own decisions in marriage. It was indeed painful to live with someone you don't like for the rest of your life. If that was really the case, then it was understandable why Anil ran away from home. She thought about how her marriage with Mu Yinfeng had been delayed for so long because of these so-called matching families. If it wasn't for the emperor's mediation, she and Mu Yinfeng probably wouldn't have been able to consummate their marriage. Zhao Wenhua sighed. "Sigh, child, you can be angry, but you still have to listen to your parents. Your family will definitely be very worried if you leave like this. You have to go back early. You have to have a good talk with them. You can't just leave like this." Anil sobbed. "No, I won't go back if you force me to marry someone I don't like." Liang Jinxiao patted Zhao Wenhua's hand, signaling Zhao Wenhua not to speak. "Child, if you don't mind, you can stay at my house for the next few days. My house is very lively, but it might be a little crowded when you live there. As long as you don't mind." Liang Jinxiao smiled gently and said to Anil. Although she was a parent, her thoughts were different from Zhao Wenhua's. She still had to choose someone she liked for the rest of her life. Living with someone without feelings would be a kind of torture. Just like how she treated her children, she would choose the person she liked according to their wishes, and not just make do with whatever she wanted. Otherwise, she would have arranged another marriage for Zhao Tianan. Now that Zhao Tianan had Mu Hin, he liked Mu Hin. Of course, Liang Jinxiao was also very satisfied with Mu Hin. "That's right. Since you don't have anywhere to go, why don't you stay at my house for a few days? You can leave when you've decided where you want to go or when you want to go home." Mu Hin had a soft personality. After hearing Anil's words, she also expressed sympathy, so she followed behind Liang Jinxiao and agreed. Anil was more than happy to receive an invitation from Zhao Yun'er's family. She immediately nodded and said, Okay. Chapter 23:59. No matter how unhappy Yili was, he couldn't say anything against it when Zhao Yun'er's family nodded in agreement. He was just an outsider in Zhao Yun'er's family and couldn't make decisions for Zhao Yun'er's family. Zhao Yun'er's family had the final say on who to let stay. He couldn't get in the middle. Yili felt a little stifled when he thought about how he would have to face this sissy in the next few days. This feeling of being entangled was very uncomfortable. Anil was very excited. He glanced at Yili from time to time as he ate Zhao Yun'er's food. Zhao Yun sighed in her heart when she saw Anil's reaction. Did she cheat Yili by taking in Anil? Seeing Yili's expression, she seemed to be very unwilling. She looked at Anil again and understood that he liked Yili. Zhao Yun'er began to think about Anil's reason for running away from home. He didn't want to marry someone he didn't like. Was it because of Anil's sexual orientation? He wasn't interested in women, even though he didn't want to marry. But in this era, the acceptance of men between men was still very low. Even in the 21st century, it was still difficult for two men to be together openly. If they were really together, they would have to accept the views of the world. Zhao Yun'er put away the messy thoughts in her mind. She didn't want to think too much about it. Even if Anil was interested in Yili, it would be futile if Yili didn't agree or accept him. In the next 2 days, Anil's arrival added a lot of joy to Zhao Yun'er's family. Zhao Yun'er's family didn't have anything else to do other than preparing for Zhao Yun'er's wedding. The wedding date was getting closer and closer, and the crown prince's residence had also sent people to deliver a lot of things. The betrothal gifts piled up in Zhao Yun'er's room. When the Shitsi Manor sent the betrothal gifts, many people in the village came to watch. When had anyone seen such a scene? Meanwhile, Zhao Yun'er went from being a village woman to being the high and mighty Shizi's wife. Everyone in Shueilon village took delight in talking about it, so much so that everyone in Yang City knew that the Shizi was going to marry a peasant woman. Hence, Zhao Yun became a celebrity in Yang City. In the 21st century, she would definitely be an internet celebrity. But many ordinary women hope to be like Zhao Yun, or one day they can also have a meteoric rise and marry a powerful and influential man. Zhao Yun's experience gave others the feeling that Cinderella had met her Prince Charming. Anil stayed in Zhao Yun's house for a while and learned about Zhao Yun's situation. He only knew that Zhao Yun was going to marry the current Shizi, which surprised him. When he first met Zhao Yun, he thought that she was just an ordinary village woman. He didn't expect her to become the Shizi's wife in the blink of an eye. Yes, the truth was too shocking. Soon, it was Zhao Yun's wedding day. The Shizi manor had arranged for a wedding nanny. Early in the morning, Zhao Yun was dragged out of bed to dress up before she had slept enough. The wedding dress that she had ordered was also done. It was very beautiful. The pattern on it was embroidered with gold silk. One look and one could tell that it was very expensive. It was a pity that such an exquisite wedding dress could only be worn once. After all, a woman could only get married once in her life under normal circumstances. When she tried on the wedding dress after she got married, the whole family was stunned. A wedding dress that cost a lot of money was indeed different. Chapter 2360. It seemed that Mu Lianfeng didn't want her to be wronged at all, so he brought all the good things to her. Su Qingyao was also looking forward to the wedding. She only hoped that everything would go well and she would officially become Mu Lianfeng's wife from today on. The matchmaker arranged by Mu Lianfeng this time was very famous in Yang City. Many young ladies from big families got married. The matchmaker looked like a kind old woman. Seeing the time, the matchmaker began to dress Zhao Yun. While combing Zhao Yun's hair, she sang, "Comb to the head, don't worry about wealth. Comb to the head, don't worry about illness or worry." When a matchmaker finished singing, Zhao Yun's hair was also combed. After this period of conditioning, Zhao Yun's hair became much softer than before. It was black and smooth, very easy to take care of. After combing, the matchmaker looked at Zhao Yun with a smile and couldn't help praising. "The bride's eyebrows and eyes are so delicate. I can tell at first sight that you are a blessed person. Today is a good day. Let's wear a lily bun. I wish the bride and groom a peaceful and happy life." The matchmaker was very eloquent, and her words were very pleasant. Zhao Yun nodded with a smile. "Thank you. You're welcome." The matchmaker replied with a smile, and then began to work on Zhao Yun's hair. In Zhao Yun's room, Liang Jinxiao, Mulan, and her sister were all there. Other sisters-in-law of old Zhao's family also came to join in the fun. For them, it was not only Zhao Yun's wedding day, but also the most important thing was that Zhao Yun married Mu Lianfeng and became the current princess consort, which made their old Zhao's family proud. Who wouldn't be envious when bragging? After seeing Zhao Yun's wedding dress and the gold jewelry she was going to wear, they all praised. It was different to be the princess consort. Even if one of these good things was taken out, the country people couldn't earn it in their lifetime. The matchmaker was used to this and soon dressed Zhao Yun up. Zhao Yun's face was smeared with a layer of white powder and some rouge to make her face look more healthy. After dressing up carefully, she looked more beautiful than usual. After dressing up, the people in the room praised her. "Little Yun, you're really beautiful today. You're as beautiful as a fairy. Tonight, you'll definitely captivate the young master." Feng Zhangxia praised, but it was a little exaggerated. Qian Zhuzha smiled as well. "It's indeed beautiful. Clothes make the man, and Buddha makes the gold. This is indeed the truth." After dressing up like this, Yin doesn't lose out to those noble young ladies. Zhao Ping looked at Zhao Yun's beautiful appearance. Although she admitted that Zhao Yun was very beautiful today, she didn't want to say it out loud because she was very jealous. Zhao Yun was lucky enough to marry the current Prince Shizi. Now, She could wear such a beautiful wedding dress and wear such beautiful jewelry. Thinking back to when she married Qin Yuan, at that time, she felt that it was good. Now, compared to Zhao Yun'er, the difference was too big. AI, there was no harm without comparison. She probably couldn't compare to Zhao Yun'er in this lifetime. Liang Jinxiao's eyes were a little red. It was said that the most beautiful moment of a bride's life was the day of her wedding. But her daughter's wedding meant that she would no longer be part of her maiden family. When Liang Jinxiao thought of this, she couldn't help but feel sad. AI, her Yun, would be a member of the Shitzi estate from now on. Chapter 2361. Seeing Liang Jinxiao's reddened eyes, Qian Zhozha hurriedly comforted her. Feng Zhangxiao followed behind Qian Zhozha and echoed, "That's right, third sister-in-law. Why are you crying? Yun'er is so lucky. She's going to marry the heir apparent today and become the heir apparent's consort. How many people can't wait for this to happen? If it were me, I would be grinning from ear to ear. Why would I cry?" Feng Zhangxiao was extremely envious of Liang Jinxiao in her heart. If she could give birth to a girl like Zhao Yun'er, she would probably wake up laughing in her dreams. If her daughter became the heir apparent's consort, wouldn't she be worry-free for the rest of her life and live a good life that everyone envied? Hearing Qian Zhozha and Feng Zhangxiao's words, Liang Jinxiao felt much better. That's right. She and Zhao Wenhua had long hoped that Yun'er would marry the heir apparent and become the heir apparent's consort. They didn't want to live together without any status and be talked about by others. How could she be sad about the day that she had waited so long for? Liang Jinxiao hurriedly rubbed her eyes and wiped away her tears. A smile tugged at the corner of her mouth as she replied, "That's right, that's right. It's Yun'er's big day. I should be happy. Ha, third sister-in-law, that's right." After Zhao Yun'er dressed up, the wedding nanny took out a red veil and placed it on Zhao Yun'er's head. Zhao Yun was sat in front of the bed and quietly waited for Mu Lianfeng's arrival. The heir apparent's wedding procession would probably be very large, and there would be many people. It would probably take some time, so Zhao Yun'er wasn't in a hurry. At this time, many people had already arrived at Zhao Yun'er's house. In addition to the people from a village who wanted to join in the fun and eat at the banquet, many people from the nearby villages who liked to watch the fun specially came to Shueilon village. Among them, many young girls wanted to see what the heir apparent looked like and how beautiful he was. For a moment, Zhao Yun'er's small yard was crowded with people. Everyone was crowded together, as if they were holding a large-scale event in the 21st century. Liang Jinxiao accompanied Zhao Yun'er in the house, while the men of the Zhao family made some arrangements. Seeing that there was not enough manpower, Yi Li and Anil volunteered to help. During their time at Zhao Yun'er's house, they already felt like family with Zhao Yun'er. "It's so lively today." Anil went up to Yi Li and giggled. Anil had never seen such excitement before, so he was very excited. This was the first time she saw villagers getting married. Especially when she saw so many villagers, she felt that it was unusually lively. Unlike in her house, there were rarely such lively events. Everyone gathered together and happily chatted and gossiped. This was something he didn't even dare to think about. After seeing how good the countryside was, Anil was even more reluctant to go back. He couldn't wait to stay at Zhao Yun'er's house forever. He would even be happy to live there for the rest of his life. Yi Li didn't respond to Anil. Instead, his face darkened, as if he was unhappy. Anil glanced at Yi Li's face and could clearly feel Yi Li's displeasure. It seemed like this guy had been like this since early in the morning. Who made him angry? Anil went up to Yi Li and fawned over him. "Yi Li, what's wrong with you? Are you not feeling well? Why do you have such an ugly face? Today is Miss Yun'er's wedding. Everyone is laughing to add to the festive atmosphere. Don't cry and look unlucky." Chapter 2362. Anil was a little hurt. He cared so much about Yi Li, but Yi Li treated him with such an attitude. But it seemed like Yi Li never looked at him in the eye. He always looked at him with disgust, which made him a little sad. He didn't think he did anything wrong. So why did Yi Li hate him so much? Sigh. seeing that Yili didn't treat anyone else like this. He only treated her this way. Anil felt more and more upset the more he thought about it. He didn't know what he could do to change Yi Li's attitude towards him. He didn't ask for Yi Li to like him a lot, as long as he didn't hate him as much as he did now. Even though Yi Li treated him coldly, Anil still forced a smile and said to Yi Li with a grin, "I'm just concerned about you. You should share everything with others. Don't keep it to yourself. Otherwise, how uncomfortable would it be?" Yi Li looked at Anil coldly and warned him, "Don't you understand what I'm saying? How many times do you want me to repeat myself? You don't have to care about my business." Anil felt wronged. He cared about others, but others didn't like it. Seriously, he took his good intentions for granted. If it weren't for the fact that he liked Yi Li, he wouldn't have bothered with him. Anil sighed deeply. He thought about how everyone liked him since he was young. How many people liked him? How many people tried to curry favor with him at the restaurant? But he didn't like anyone except for Yi Li. This man was good in every way. He was outstanding in every way. He was the best in the world. If he hadn't met him personally, he wouldn't have believed that such a man existed in the world. The only bad thing was that her attitude toward him was too cold. Anil felt defeated for the first time, but he couldn't do anything about Yi Li. Yi Li ignored Anil and turned around to continue helping Zhao Wenhua. Anil stood there in a daze as he watched Yi Li turn around and leave. His eyes reddened slightly. The surrounding bustle was still going on, and there were many villagers chatting and laughing. Anil tried his best to calm himself down and comfort himself to continue working hard. Sincerity can move metal and stone. As long as he was determined to do something well, one day Yi Li would accept him. And Li's lips curled into a smile as he cheered himself on. At about 10 o'clock, a large group of people arrived in front of Zhao Yun'er's courtyard. From the looks of it, there were at least 100 people. Normally, there would be at most a dozen or so people getting married. The wedding procession of over 100 people was still quite shocking. Everyone was wearing red clothes and playing musical instruments. It was unusually festive and lively. The leader was Mu Lianfeng. He was also wearing a red wedding outfit. Because of his excitement, he was more high-spirited than usual. He looked even more handsome and elegant. His eyebrows were like stars. His handsome face looked as if it had been carefully sculpted. His jade crown was tied up, and his sharp eyebrows added a bit of heroic spirit. Mu Yinfeng sat on the back of a horse, looking very noble. The young ladies who came to join the fun and wanted to see the real face of the crown prince were deeply mesmerized by Mu Yinfeng's appearance. After seeing Mu Yinfeng's appearance, they knew what a handsome man was. Compared to the men in the mountains, Mu Yinfeng's appearance was not just a little bit better. There was no comparison at all. Chapter 2363. It was the same reaction as fans in the 21st century seeing their idols. Isn't the heir apparent a bit too handsome? He's really too good-looking. Oh my God, he's so good-looking. Not to mention that he has status and money. I'm willing to throw myself at him just based on his face. That's right, that's right. After seeing the heir apparent's true appearance, I realized that the men in the countryside are too different. I'm afraid that after seeing the heir apparent's appearance, I won't be interested in those sloppy men in the village anymore. How lucky is this Zhao Yun'er to be able to marry the heir apparent and have the heir apparent take her as his wife. Why didn't the heavens bestow me one? Her luck is 1 in a million. Ordinary people can enjoy this kind of good fortune. We can only be envious. Let's not think about such a good thing. Not to mention being the heir apparent's wife or concubine, even being the heir apparent's maidservant would be my dream come true. A woman lowered her head and touched the tuft of hair in front of her chest as she spoke with a shy expression. Mu Yinfeng's astonishing appearance had captivated the hearts of many girls. Mu Yinfeng didn't notice the reactions of the people around him at all. He only hoped that he could quickly receive Zhao Yun'er and marry her back to the heir apparent's residence. Behind Mu Yinfeng was another man on horseback. This man was wearing bright yellow clothes. It was none other than the current emperor. It was rare for him to leave the palace for such a lively occasion. He was also interested in seeing the customs of the people in this kind of joyous occasion. He wanted to get closer to the common people and understand their lives more. In addition, he didn't have anything else to do, so he simply came to join in the fun to pass the time. It had to be said that he was right to come today. It was very lively along the way, and the emperor was in a very good mood. Along the way, he learned more about the local customs. Seeing that it was the first time he was so close to the people, he felt very gratified. The procession finally stopped in front of Zhao Yun's courtyard. Anna was also joining in the fun. He followed the crowd and watched the mighty procession. When he saw the bright yellow figure on the horse, his heart suddenly tightened. Damn! F***CK. Annel's eyes widened in disbelief. He rubbed his eyes and continued reading. His heart thumped loudly as he muttered, "It's over. It's over." It really was him. The world was so big, but why did it feel so small sometimes? How could they bump into him here? Obviously, such a poor and remote place shouldn't have been discovered. Shocked, Annel quickly turned around and prepared to escape. F***CK. This must not be discovered. If he was found out, then he would have to go home with his tail between his legs. He was having a good time here, so how could he bear to go back? Annel had just run a few steps when Zhao Wenhua called for Annel to come over and help. Annel frowned and said pitifully, "Uncle Zhao, my stomach hurts and want to take a dump. Let's go to the latrine now." Zhao Wenhua nodded. "All right, go ahead." Humans had 3 urges, so they couldn't be forced to hold it in. Annel nodded vigorously. He had only taken a few steps when Zhao Wenhua called out to him again. "Wait!" Annel thought that there was something else, so he reluctantly turned around and asked with a smile, "Uncle Zhao, is there anything else?" Zhao Wenhua smiled foolishly. "Nothing else. I just wanted to say that you haven't taken your toilet paper. Do you want to take some?" Chapter 2364. Annel didn't expect Zhao Wenhua to talk about this. He thought that Zhao Wenhua was going to say something important. So he said to Zhao Wenhua, "No need, no need." Zhao Wenhua was stunned. His face was full of shock and confusion. "This, young master, and don't you use toilet paper when you clean your bowels?" Annel's face turned red in an instant. Whoa, it seemed that he was misunderstood. What should he do? If he didn't use toilet paper to clean his ass, he would probably be disliked, right? Well, not to mention others. If he met someone who didn't clean his ass when he was cleaning his bowels, he would probably also dislike him. That, Uncle Zhao. Actually, I still have toilet paper in my hand, so you don't need to use it anymore. Annel explained with a red face. Oh, so it's like that. Zhao Wenhua nodded. If that was the case, then it was understandable. At first, he thought that Annel really didn't clean his ass when he was cleaning his bowels. Like I said, no one would have such a fetish. Uncle Zhao, I'll go to the toilet first. Yes. Annel quickly flashed to the back of Zhao Yun's house. Fortunately, there were many people in Zhao Yun's courtyard today. Otherwise, he would have been discovered. In order to continue staying in Zhao Yun's house, he must hide his whereabouts well. It was much safer to hide behind Zhao Yun's house. The bustle in front of the courtyard continued. Mu Lianfeng and the emperor dismounted from their horses. Mu Lianfeng walked to Zhao Yun's courtyard with a face full of metal. At this time, the matchmaker said with a smile, "The groom is here to pick up the bride. The happy occasion has arrived. The bride is preparing to get married." After shouting, the matchmaker went to Zhao Yun, helped Zhao Yun up, and helped Zhao Yun out. The eyes of the people in the courtyard suddenly fell on Zhao Yun's body. The bright red wedding dress was very dazzling in the sun, especially the golden embroidery on it, which was even more dazzling. All the girls present praised Zhao Yun. Today's dress was so beautiful that it made people envious. After the matchmaker took Zhao Yun out, she handed her to Mu Lianfeng. She smiled at Mu Lianfeng and said, "The groom is finally here. Hurry and get on the sedan chair." Good. Mu Lianfeng was full of smiles. His gaze landed on Zhao Yun, and he couldn't bear to look away. Seeing Zhao Yun standing in front of him in a red wedding dress, his heart was filled with unspeakable joy. He had been waiting for this day and night, and finally, this day had arrived. To protect his wife's, Tuz's wife Tesses, a wife's to be st, leave to protect him. At this moment, he realized how happy he was to be able to marry the woman he loved. The matchmaker helped Zhao Yun'er onto the sedan chair and shouted to set off. Everything happened too fast for Zhao Yun'er's family. Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao stood together. They were reluctant to let Zhao Yun'er leave, but they knew that they had to let Zhao Yun'er leave, because Zhao Yun was going to marry Mu Lianfeng and become his Shizi's consort. From now on, no one would dare to mention Zhao Yun'er's pregnancy before marriage. No one would laugh at Zhao Yun'er and Mu Lianfeng being together, but Mu Lianfeng never gave her status. The mighty wedding procession left after a few minutes. Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao looked at the departing procession, and their eyes couldn't help but turn red. They were so happy that they cried tears of joy. They were happy for Zhao Yun'er. Finally, the day they had waited for had arrived. Chapter 2365. There was a touch of sadness and reluctance in his eyes, but at the same time, he wished Zhao Yun'er well. Yun'er, you must be happy. I know that this man will treat you well, so I let go. If he dares to bully you in the slightest, I will not let him off easily, Yili said in a low voice. When the wedding procession disappeared from sight, Yili turned around and disappeared from Zhao Yun'er's courtyard. After the wedding procession left, Zhao Yun'er's house was bustling with activity. A banquet was held. Because Zhao Yun did not have a chef to cook for this banquet, they specially went to the town to invite a chef over. Although they spent more money, it was not worth mentioning to Zhao Yun'er's family now. This chef's culinary skills were not bad. Although some dishes were not as good as Zhao Yun'er's, most of the dishes were better than those in restaurants. It was because of this that this chef was very famous in the nearby villages. Zhao Yun'er's family specially added money to let this chef cancel other appointments and come over to cook for Zhao Yun'er's family. Zhao Wenhua greeted the guests, while the chef was already busy in the kitchen. Not long after, there was a burst of fragrance coming from the kitchen. The people who came to attend the banquet sat at the table one by one and prepared to eat. After Anil confirmed that the wedding procession had left, he came out of Zhao Yun'er's backyard and came to the front yard. After a busy morning, his stomach was already growling with hunger. When he was tempted by the fragrance of the dishes, he could not help but swallow his saliva. Anil walked in front of Zhao Wenhua and asked, "Uncle Zhao, can we eat now? I'm so hungry." Anil touched his flat stomach and continued, I just had a lot of diarrhea. Now I'm even hungrier." Zhao Wenhua was originally a little sad and reluctant, but after hearing Anil's words, he was amused. This kid is really interesting. All he thought about was eating after he pooped. If you have something to say it directly without any hesitation. However, people from the countryside were simple and honest. He did not mind Anil's behavior. During this period of time, Anil had been staying at her house, and Zhao Wenhua had even treated Anil as her own son. "I'll ask the kitchen and get you something to eat," Zhao Wenhua said. Okay. Thank you, Uncle Zhao." Anil smiled sweetly. "You're welcome." Zhang Wenhua went to the kitchen and brought out a bowl of meat pie soup for Anil. There was a layer of green spring onions floating on top of the meat patty soup. It was fragrant and beautiful. One look at the meat patty soup, and one could tell that it was extremely delicious. Anil took it and couldn't wait to eat it. Zhao Wenhua hurriedly said, "It's hot. Eat slowly. Don't eat too quickly. If it burns my mouth, I won't." Anil chuckled and nodded heavily. Yes. Uncle Zhao, I understand." Then he held the bowl and picked up a piece of meat patty. He blew on it a few times and waited for it to cool down before stuffing it into his mouth. He had never eaten such a thing before. It was his first time eating it, and it felt very good. He couldn't help but praise Zhao Wenhua. "Uncle Zhao, it's delicious. It's so delicious." The meat was very fresh and tender, and it was slightly smooth when it entered his mouth. His mouth was filled with the fragrance of the meat as he chewed. He was already hungry, and eating something delicious at this time made him feel indescribably satisfied. "Haha, Eat slowly if it's delicious. Uncle Zhao has other things to do. Chapter 2366. Zhao Wenhua waved his hand and chuckled. It's fine, it's fine. Take your time to eat. You can handle the workload at home. Hee hee. Anil smiled contentedly. He had food to eat and didn't have to work. He was living a blissful life. Actually, he preferred to help out more. Since he had nothing to do anyway, it would be more fun to help out. There were many people in the courtyard. Anil held his bowl and found a quiet corner to sit down and finish the bowl of meatloaf soup. After he finished eating, he still wanted more. However, he was too embarrassed to ask Zhao Wenhua for more. Anil pinched his cheeks. They had really become rounder and fatter. How long had it been since he came to Zhao Yun'er's house? All he knew was to eat, and eat. All kinds of delicious food tempted him to eat a lot. How could he not gain weight if he continued eating like this? Anil was afraid that he would become a little fat pig one day and not be loved by everyone. After putting down his bowl and chopsticks, Anil realized that he couldn't find Yi Li in the entire courtyard. He asked Zhao Yun'er's family if anyone had seen Yi Li. However, none of them knew where Yi Li had gone. There were too many things to do today. Everyone's attention was on Zhao Yun'er's wedding. Now that Zhao Yun'er had been picked up by the wedding procession and they were busy preparing for the wedding, no one had the energy to care about Yi Li's whereabouts. Anil became anxious when he didn't see Yi Li. He wondered if Yi Li was so sad about Zhao Yun'er's wedding that he left the Zhao family. If he left without a word, no one would know about it. Would he still be able to see Yi Li in the future? After searching the entire courtyard for Yi Li to no avail, Anil suddenly felt like crying. He quickly went elsewhere. Even if Yi Li wanted to leave, he would have to take him with him. In any case, he was determined to follow him. Anil was panting as he ran around, looking for Yi Li. Finally, he found Yi Li in front of a tree. At this moment, Yi Li was sitting on a tree branch. He had one hand on his leg, and the other hand was holding a bottle of wine. He was slowly drinking from it. He raised his head and looked in the direction of the wedding procession, his eyes filled with deep sorrow. There was an indescribable sense of desolation in his black, gem-like pupils, which made one's heart ache. Panting, Anil ran to the tree and found Yi Li. When he saw Yi Li in such a state, he felt as though his heart was being gnawed by something. Yi Li seemed to be immersed in his own world. He didn't even look at Anil. Anil did not have the heart to disturb Yi Li. He was even more afraid that Yi Li would ignore him the moment he spoke. After taking a few deep breaths, Anil leaned against the tree trunk and sat down. Since he found Yi Li, it was good that he didn't leave. Actually, he didn't need to ask what was wrong with Yi Li to know the reason. Yi Li was so sad because of Zhao Yun'er's marriage. After living together for a while, Anil could tell that Yi Li was infatuated with Zhao Yun'er. How could a man not be sad when he saw the woman he loved marry another man? But Yi Li had no choice. Feelings could not be forced. There was nothing he could do if Zhao Yun'er chose to marry someone else. Although Anil felt that Yi Li was the best man in the world, other women did not feel the same way. Chapter 2367. But now that she saw Yi Li's heartbroken expression after Zhao Yun got married to another man, she felt her heart ache. It seemed like she would be happy as long as Yi Li was happy. Seeing Yi Li sad made her feel worse than anyone else. Perhaps for someone you truly like, you shouldn't pray to be with her every day. Instead, you should pray for her to be happy. As long as Yi Li was happy, he would be satisfied. Anil didn't know what to say to comfort Yi Li. She just quietly accompanied him. Perhaps silent companionship was the best choice. The courtyard of Zhao Yun'er's house was filled with villagers. The banquet started in a lively manner. Needless to say, the relatives from the Liang family came. They happened to see the scene of Zhao Yun'er getting married. Every one of them was envious. Wu Jinju, his daughter, and Liang Jinfen weren't just envious. They were also jealous of Zhao Yun'er's good fortune. Why didn't such a good thing happen to them? Why did it happen to Zhao Yun'er's family? If it was any other banquet, they would probably fight to eat. But this time, They were so upset that they couldn't even taste the food. They didn't have much of an appetite, even when the table was full of good food. Wu Zhenju said to Liang Xinyue, "Why are you so useless? How can you still have the mood to eat?" Wu Zhenju said angrily when he saw Liang Xinyue burying her head in eating. Liang Xinyue looked up and said pitifully, "Mother, how am I useless when I'm just eating? For today's banquet, you specifically told me not to eat last night. Today, I came over with a hungry stomach to eat more. Plus, I didn't eat in the morning, so I'm starving. Why are you scolding me when I finally get to eat something? Aren't you just picking on me for no reason?" Liang Xinyue was flustered. Originally, seeing Zhao Yun'er get married in such a beautiful and glamorous way, his heart was already uncomfortable enough. He could only use the delicacies to divert his attention and comfort his heart. In the end, her mother was good. Just because of such a simple matter, she still wanted to scold her. Wasn't she obviously trying to pick a fight? Wu Zhenju looked at Liang Xinyue in disappointment. "You're so careless. No one is like your big sister Yun'er, who married a good husband and is more enthusiastic about eating than anyone else." Liang Xinyue pulled a long face and felt even more wronged. "Mother, aren't you looking for trouble and deliberately scolding me? How is it that I'm not active just because I don't eat? Now, you can find a good husband just by not eating?" Wu Zhenju said angrily. "I'm saying that you're not focusing on the right path. Shouldn't you be thinking about what you did wrong? Why didn't you find a good husband like your big sister Yun'er? Yet, all she could think about was food. All you know is to eat. If you were like Yun'er, no matter how many delicacies you eat, you wouldn't be able to finish them all. What's the use of staring at the food in front of you now?" She didn't expect that Zhao Yun'er would become the current heir consort after marrying Mu Lian. That was a meteoric rise, and she would become a phoenix. Not to mention that Zhao Yun'er would wear gold and silver and live the life of a rich person in the future. Even Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao would be able to enjoy life together. This was the so-called when a man achieves the Tao, even his chickens and dog will ascend to heaven. If Liang Xinyue could be half as capable as Zhao Yun'er and find a rich family, as her mother, wouldn't she be able to bask in her glory and enjoy life for the rest of her life? Chapter 2368. If Zhao Yun was a good match for Mu Lianfeng, then so be it. Zhao Yun was just an ordinary little girl. How could she hold the prince's heart? Her daughter, Liang Xinyue, was not only prettier than Zhao Yun'er, she was also younger. Which man didn't like young and beautiful women? If Zhao Yun'er had the ability and opportunity, then her daughter had even more. It was precisely because of this comparison that Wu Zhenju was extremely dissatisfied. Today, when she saw Zhao Yun'er's family receive all the glory, her heart felt extremely stifled. In the end, she just couldn't bear to see others living better than her, especially those who didn't live as well as her in the past. Liang Xinyue put down the chopsticks in her hand. She finally understood that her mother actually wanted to vent her anger on her. When she saw that Zhao Yun'er was marrying well, but she couldn't do it naturally, she felt unhappy. Actually, she also felt the same way. She was extremely jealous of Zhao Yun'er. But sometimes, jealousy couldn't solve the problem. Just like now, she also wanted to be like Zhao Yun'er, find a good man, and then get married grandly and beautifully. But was it easy to find a good man? Previously, she had taken a fancy to Mo Yin. But now, she didn't even see Mo Yan's shadow, let alone find an opportunity to cultivate feelings with Mo Yin and get together with her. Mother, if you think about it like this, whose daughter can be as capable as Sister Yin? If you think about it like this, they're all as useless as me. Not everyone has Sister Yun'er's luck. It's like 1 in a million. No, 1 in a million. I don't have Sister Yun'er's luck. Where can I find a good husband? Mother, if you think I'm wrong, give me an example. Liang Xinyue retorted unhappily. Her mother could lecture her, but she couldn't lecture her indiscriminately like this. She was almost at the age of marriage. She also felt very embarrassed to be scolded in front of so many people. If she explained the reason, her mother wouldn't nag anymore. After Liang Xinyue finished speaking, Guo Saixia smiled and agreed. Sister-in-law, is right. How many people can have Yin-er's luck? This is fate. She was born with a good life. There's no need to compare. Don't most people have ordinary lives? How many girls from the countryside had married so well? It's still very important to be matched. We can't match those who are too rich and powerful. Besides, it's not easy for you to marry someone from our town or Yang City, let alone someone like the Crown Prince. Sometimes you have to be clear and don't be dreaming. Hearing Guo Saixia's words, Wu Jinju's face suddenly darkened. She shouted at Guo Saixia, "Sister-in-law, what do you mean? Are you saying that my Yuer is not good enough? No matter how much my Yuer is younger and prettier than your Yuer, what right do you have to criticize my Yuer?" Guo Saixia sneered, "Sister-in-law, that's not what I meant. I just wanted to tell you not to daydream sometimes. Although my Er's looks are not as good as Yuer's, I'm not daydreaming. I didn't think that my it would be able to match up to someone like Lord Shitzi, like Yin. That's right. Sister-in-law, I've already told you before. Don't always talk about Er's looks and age. She's better than my in this aspect, but it's difficult for her to find a husband after her engagement was broken off." Chapter 2369. When Wu Jinju heard this, he was so angry that he almost started a fight with Guo Saixia. Liang Xinyue's broken engagement was a pain in her heart, but Guo Saixia liked to expose her scars and poke at her shortcomings. How could she not be angry? "Sister-in-law, you're too mean. Can't you bear to see you get married? You hope that she can't marry into a good family. You're Er's aunt." Wu Jinju slammed the table and pointed at Guo Saixia as he scolded. Guo Saixia sneered and curled her lips. She replied, "Second sister-in-law, look at what you're saying. What do you mean I hope not? I'm just telling you the truth. Look at your reaction. Aren't you also Z's aunt? Every day, when you talk about how my Zir can't do this or that, can I say a few words about your Yua?" Seeing that Wu Jinju and Guo Saixia were about to fight, old Madame Liang was very angry. "All you know is to quarrel. Both of you shut up. Today is Er's wedding day. If you want to embarrass yourself, go back home. Don't drag your eldest sister's family down with you." Old Madame Liang's face was gloomy. It was obvious that she was really angry. Wu Jinju and Guo Saixia finally restrained themselves and stopped making a fuss. Compared to Wu Jinju's anger, Guo Saixia was much calmer. She felt a lot better after teasing her. Who asked this second sister-in-law of hers not to have a little self-awareness? How could she not know what kind of person her daughter was? She was actually so confident that Liang Xinyue could find a good husband. In her opinion, if Liang Xinyue could find her Zir, it would be even more so. Liang Xinyue lowered her head and continued to eat, but she didn't feel as good as before. Her mother had overestimated her, while her aunt had underestimated her. Either way, it wasn't good, sigh. Actually, she didn't want to marry a rich man, as long as it wasn't one of those country bumpkins. It was one thing for them to be poor, but the most important thing was that they were ugly. As long as they were half as handsome and half as mighty as Mo Yin, she would probably be willing. So she really couldn't compare. After comparing, she despised everyone. Even if she didn't want to marry, she wouldn't casually marry a country bumpkin. The originally lively banquet became a little dull under the Liang family's strange occasion. Zhao Yin'er's family didn't care about the feelings of the family Qin people and continued to host the banquet. Under the cooking of the chef, the banquet was completed successfully. After that, the people in the village gathered together for a while and then left. At this moment, Yi Li, who was sitting on the tree, had already finished the entire pot of wine. There was no more wine in the cup, so Yi Li could only put down the wine pot. Seeing that Anil remained silent under the tree and didn't say a word, Yi Li raised his eyebrows and said in a low voice, "It's already so late. Why aren't you going back? Aren't you hungry if you don't eat?" When Anil saw that Yi Li actually took the initiative to talk to her, and even seemed to care about her, she was instantly excited. She immediately said to Yi Li, Are you concerned about me? Yili's lips curved into a cold smile. You're overthinking it. Why should I care about you? I just don't understand why you're doing all these useless and meaningless things in front of me. Chapter 2370. Yili lowered his head and glanced at Anil. There was a glimmer of light in his dark pupils, shining like stars. It was strangely attractive. Looking at his fair face, it revealed a touch of innocence, especially when he pouted and puffed up his cheeks. Yili thought to himself that he must be crazy. How could he think that a sissy was so pure and cute? Sigh. Could it be that he had gone mad? Yili choked, but the corners of his mouth continued to curl up. He calmly replied, You can follow me if you want, but I have to go now. With that, Yili tapped his toes and jumped down from the tree. His qigong was very good, so when he jumped down from the tree, it felt like he was floating. Looking at Yili's tall and handsome back, Anil was once again mesmerized by Yili. Why was this man so handsome when he was depressed? How could there be such a stunner in this world? However, his infatuation only lasted for a few seconds. Anil quickly regained his senses and got up from the ground to follow Yili. Yili, where are you going? Aren't you going to keep watching over me? I'm watching over you, not the tree. I'll go wherever you go. Anil replied angrily. Yili frowned slightly and said unhappily, Don't follow me. He wanted to find a quiet place to be alone. What was a sissy following behind him? Anil pursed his lips and said unhappily, Why? You're annoying. I don't like people annoying me. Yili said mercilessly. Anil's heart felt like it had been pierced by something. It hurt so much. He tried to take a deep breath and braced himself to say, I just want to follow you. I didn't say anything. What right do you have to say that I'm annoying? Yili looked at Anil's angry face and didn't know what to say for a moment. This sissy is so wishy-washy. Sigh. Annoying. But for some reason, Yili didn't find Anil as annoying as before. He must be crazy. Don't waste your time on me, Yili reminded. A straight man like him would definitely not like a man. If a woman persevered, it would still be meaningful. But a man, could it be that she was hoping to turn him gay? What a fool's dream. I'm spending my time, not yours. It's none of your business, Anil said stubbornly. Once he set his mind on something, he would not give up easily. This was even more true for the person he liked. It wasn't easy for him to meet Yili, so how could he let go of this opportunity? Yili turned around and ignored Anil. Instead, he walked forward. Anil hurried to catch up with him. He stared at Yili's back and swore to himself that he would wait until the moment Yili accepted him. Although this dream was a little far away, only by persevering would there be a chance and possibility. If he chose to give up now, then there would be no more chances in the future. He didn't ask for anything else. He just wanted to be by Yili's side. As long as he could see Yili, that would be enough. Sigh. Anil didn't know when he started to know how to be satisfied. He had many things in the past, but he had never cherished them as much as he did now. By the time Yili returned to Zhao Yun'er's courtyard, the banquet had already ended and the courtyard was much quieter. Chapter 2371. Yili smiled and replied, Uncle Zhao, I just went out for a walk. I didn't go anywhere. Zhao Wenhua hurriedly said, Young Master Yi, you haven't eaten anything yet. You must be hungry, right? Quickly sit down and eat something. Okay. Seeing Zhao Wenhua's concern for him, Yili's heart warmed. This kind of feeling was like family. During the time he stayed at Zhao Yun'er's house, Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao had already treated him as family. There were many dishes left at the banquet that were not eaten, including some unsavory meat. Zhao Wenhua asked Yili what he wanted to eat. Yili smiled and replied that Zhao Wenhua could make anything as long as it could fill his stomach. Yili was not a picky eater. Zhao Wenhua made a bowl of chicken soup with some chicken in it. He handed it to Yili and said, Young Master Yi, have some chicken soup and eat some chicken. I'll make some dishes for you. Thank you, Uncle Zhao. Haha, you're welcome. We're family. Don't be so distant. Zhao Wenhua smiled and waved his hand. He went into the kitchen and took out a bowl. He took some of every dish. This way, Yili could have a taste. Fortunately, the weather had cooled down. Even if these dishes could not be finished, it would not be a problem to leave them out for a day or two. Anil stood not far away and observed Yi Li's attitude and reaction. As a result, he found that Yi Li seemed to be polite and nice to everyone, but she was cold to him. Anil thought about it carefully and felt that he did not do anything wrong. What did he do that made Yi Li dislike him so much? Zhao Wenhua had just brought out a bowl of food when Hua Chunhua walked over to Zhao Wenhua and ordered, "Third brother, there should be some leftovers from the banquet at your house. There should be a lot of food left, right? Hurry up and get me some. Your little sister wants to eat it. Her body is weak. You have to get her something good to nourish her body." Today was the third branch's wedding. Everyone in old Zhao's family came to attend the wedding, except for Zhao Xinhui. It wasn't that Zhao Xinhui didn't want to join the fun and eat good food, but he had no choice. Now, Zhao Xinhui couldn't even move from his bed, let alone get out of bed to attend the banquet. But Chunhua did not ask for anything else. After all, she was already very happy that Zhao Xinhui could keep his life. As long as he was alive, he could slowly prepare for the future. Zhao Xinhui could slowly recuperate, and there would be a time when he would recover. Zhao Wenhua nodded and replied, "Okay, Mom, I'll go now." "Father, don't give it to her." Zhao Ping walked out angrily and stopped Zhao Wenhua. It was fine if he gave it to others, but he wasn't willing to give it to his little aunt. It was because Zhao Xinhui caused her older brother Yuan to be in this state. How could he give Zhao Xinhui good food? "You wretched lass, what are you saying?" Hua Chunhua was also angry. She glared at Zhao Ping, and retorted, "I said I'm not giving it to my little aunt. Grandmother, why should we give you our third branch's food? Do you think you can have it just because you want it?" Zhao Ping, wasn't afraid of Hua Chunhua and directly retorted. Hua Chunhua rolled up her sleeves and walked in front of Zhao Ping, wanting to hit Zhao Ping. This wretched lass was too much. Her daughter's injuries were so serious that she almost lost her life, and it had a lot to do with this wretched lass. Back then, if she didn't slander Zhao Xinhui in front of the county magistrate, Zhao Xinhui might not have said that she would be punished so severely, and she wouldn't have almost lost her life. Chapter 2372. You wretched lass, you're such a busybody. Since when did a married daughter like you have the right to make decisions in the third branch? Your youngest aunt is your father's younger sister, so why can't you give her some food? You've already become someone else's daughter-in-law, yet you still want to interfere with family matters. As Hua Chunhua spoke, she stretched out her jet-black claws and almost scratched Zhao Ping's face. Zhao Wenhua hurriedly stepped forward and stood between Zhao Ping, and Hua Chunhua. He mediated, all right, mother. Don't bicker with that last Ping. I'll go get some food for my younger sister." "Father." Zhao Ping's face was filled with unhappiness as she pulled on Zhao Yunlong's sleeve. Zhao Wenhua gave Zhao Ping a look. "Lass, behave yourself. She's your grandmother. No matter what, she's still your youngest aunt. Don't be willful." "Father." Hua Chunhua pursed her lips. "Third son, it's not that I want to nag at you, but you have to discipline your daughter properly. Otherwise, she'll take advantage of you and not know the rules at all." "Mother, I understand. I'll educate that last Ping more in the future. It's good that you understand." Zhao Ping still wanted to say something, but Zhao Wenhua was really a little angry at this time. He gave Zhao Ping another look. Only then did she reluctantly stop. Zhao Wenhua sighed heavily. Clearly, today was very lively and happy, but some people and things just had to come out and ruin their mood. Zhao Wenhua only hoped that everything would go smoothly on Zhao Yun's side. It didn't matter if he caused more trouble on his side. At this time, the wedding procession had already arrived at Yang City. Because everyone was walking, their movements were a little slow. It wasn't as fast as Zhao Yun's usual horse carriage or donkey cart. At this time, the Crown Prince's residence was decorated with red silk and satin, and it was indescribably lively. Because it was the Crown Prince's wedding, almost all the influential people in Sun City attended the banquet. This included many squires and the deputy district magistrate. When the guests who came to attend the wedding saw the procession, they immediately became excited. The bride is here. The bride is here. When Zhao Yun heard this figure, she knew that they had arrived at the Shitsi estate. She couldn't help but feel excited. The procession finally stopped at the entrance of a Shitsi Fu. Mu Yinfeng dismounted from his horse first, and then the matchmaker helped Zhao Yun over the brazier. Finally, they were led into the bridal chamber that the Shitsi Fu had prepared for them. After arriving at the room, Zhao Yun'er was left hanging while Mu Yinfeng went out to socialize. Later on, the heir apparent's residence also had to prepare a banquet. As the bridegroom, Mu Yinfeng naturally had to accompany them to drink. It was only noon, and they had to wait until nighttime. Zhao Yun'er felt very bored when she thought that there was still so much time left. Fortunately, the wedding was only for one day. Although she didn't have to do anything, she strangely felt very tired. Fortunately, before getting married, Zhao Yun'er ate a lot based on her experience. Now, she even secretly stuffed a few pieces of pastries into her sleeves. Even if she waited until nighttime, she wouldn't be very hungry. However, it didn't feel good to be alone in the room and wait for half a day. The room was quiet, but Zhao Yun'er could feel the festive atmosphere in the Shitsi estate. Because it was a rare occasion for the crown prince to get married, even the servants in the crown prince's residence were especially excited. They were busy and didn't stop for a moment. Chapter 2373. Zhao Yun quickly sat up and tidied up her clothes. The red veil on her head was still intact and did not fall off. As soon as Mu Yinfeng walked into the bridal chamber, the air was immediately filled with the smell of alcohol. Although Mu Yinfeng had lost a lot of alcohol today, his mind was still clear. He saw Zhao Yun was sitting in front of the bed and walked toward Zhao Yun. Yun'er, Mu Yinfeng murmured. His Yun'er had finally become his wife today. At this moment, he experienced a happiness that he had never felt before. Zhao Yun responded. Mu Yinfeng walked toward the bed and lifted Zhao Yun's red veil. The two of them were not really newlyweds. Unlike other people in this era, they lived together every day before they got married and were very familiar with each other. After lifting the red veil, Zhao Yun'er and Mu Yinfeng's eyes met. Zhao Yun was dressed in a red wedding dress and dressed up meticulously. In Mu Yinfeng's eyes, Zhao Yun'er looked indescribably delicate and charming today. Mu Yinfeng was already handsome to begin with. Coupled with the fact that he was getting married today, he was in high spirits and looked even more handsome and elegant. Yun'er, you're so beautiful today. After Mu Yinfeng praised her, he hugged Zhao Yun'er's waist and couldn't wait to kiss his bride. Because they hadn't seen each other for a while, Mu Yinfeng missed Zhao Yun'er indescribably. It was said that absence made the heart grow fonder. After being separated for a few days, his mind was filled with Zhao Yun'er's figure. After waiting for so long, Zhao Yun'er was finally here. Mu Yinfeng couldn't imagine if he left Yang City and Zhao Yun'er for a little longer. Would he get lovesick? Zhao Yun'er's mouth was suddenly blocked. The smell of Mu Yinfeng's alcohol filled her entire mouth. Zhao Yun'er pushed Mu Yinfeng out. Cover. She felt that this guy would eat her up. He came aggressively and grabbed her head. He was very domineering. After pushing for a while, she couldn't push Mu Yinfeng away. Zhao Yun'er pouted aggressively. This guy only knew how to bully people. Sigh. After enduring Mu Yinfeng's wanton behavior, Mu Yinfeng let go of her after a while. And Zhao Yun had already been instigated to have some desire. Her body and cheeks were red as she waited for Mu Yinfeng's next move. However, after kissing her wildly, Mu Yinfeng pecked her on the forehead. Then, he stared at her as if he couldn't get enough of her. Zhao Yun also looked at Mu Yinfeng. This man's eyes were surprisingly beautiful and a little bright, and looking at her affectionately gave her a different feeling. Aren't we going to continue? Zhao Yun asked weakly. Continue what? Mu Yinfeng raised his eyebrows and asked. Zhao Yun pouted. This guy must be doing it on purpose. Of course, we're going to consummate our marriage. After saying that, Zhao Yun'er's cheeks turned even redder. Wouldn't it be shameless of her to take the initiative to court him? Sigh. When she was doing that with Mu Lianfeng, it had always been Mu Lianfeng who took the initiative. As a woman, Zhao Yun'er felt that it was too shy of her to take the initiative. Mu Lianfeng's lips curled up slightly, as if he was smiling. Zhao Yun'er wondered if this guy was mocking her. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.